In 1981, Steven Spielberg brought us a cinematic epic that, while inspired by tales of the past, redefined action heroes for the modern generation. Outrunning boulders and death at every turn, armed with a bullwhip, sidearm, and his wits, Indy's done so much for us, it's time to give back by talking over his body of work in a little something we like to call Indiana August on the Main Street Cinema, the show where we discuss the finer points in filmmaking. How you guys all doing? I am Tiki.
BlueDragonFive.
I'm Shandy Claus. Had to do it.
And I'm Jacob Wile.
And we're all in for a hell of a time because we have to watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I love that reaction.
Note the question mark in front of the fan in the title of this video. I thought that was the best way to deal with that issue.
Fan commentary?
Fan? Okay, guys, but you know what podcast you're not questionably going to be a fan of, that everyone who listens to it is going to be a fan of?
What?
What could it possibly be?
It's the Movie Machine Podcast! It's what happens when you take 4 funny people and improv a movie based on a random story generator really, really fast! They've got 25 episodes and counting, new episodes every Sunday. Episode 25 is Sprouted Along. It's a musical kids movie about food, starring Ricky Gervais, Topol, Nathan Fillion, and Disney's good luck charm, Alan Tudyk. Featuring Ben Lifton, Jacob Gulliver.
Yeah. It's the opposite of Sausage Party.
Yeah. By the way, Dragon, Monkey is very much taking your side on Sausage Party.
Good. Now continue with the plug.
Alright, featuring Ben Lifton, Jacob Gulliver, Kyle Decker, and this week's special guest, Isaac Sudleaf!
Yeah!
The Movie Machine Podcast at hotchocolatemedia.net. Guys, I've got a dark confession to make upon rewatching this movie that I will start out with for the kind of roundtable thoughts.
Oh god.
I rewatched this movie, and I've got to say, outside of the one caveat that the scene with the swinging around with the fucking monkeys and sword fighting and everything is ridiculous, I really like Mutt Williams. I really like Mutt Williams. He's a good character. He's a solid fixture in the film. I think Shia LaBeouf has a lot of charisma playing him. I think him and Harrison Ford have some good chemistry. I really think it's a decent kind of parallel to the father-son dynamic we got in Last Crusade. And most importantly, I think Shia LaBeouf and his presence and the whole greaser vibe of his character really fits the 50s very well and gives this film a unique tone. Having said that, guys, kind of transitioning, I think a lot of other things in this movie are a fucking mess. I really don't like the Matt character. I think the Matt character doesn't work for me at all. Oxley, or whatever the hell his name is, he's fine. I think the idea of his character was interesting. I think they played him as a goddamn cartoon, and some of the stuff he does is frankly kind of embarrassing. And overall, it's kind of like George Lucasified, where there's way too much CGI. Yeah. And I'm just kind of end my final thoughts with, so I was watching some bonus features, guys. I was watching bonus features on Disc 2 of the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull DVD. Literally on the production diaries, the first thing that Steven Spielberg says to the camera on the first day of shooting is,
I'm sorry, please forgive me?
No, but pretty close. He's like, I don't know if I should just quit right now. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. And also, something to note on the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull diaries, basically every time there's a bad idea, Spielberg was essentially like, well, George wanted it, and I was like, alright, George, whatever. But, having said that, guys, I do think that Mutt Williams, oddly enough, is a ray of sunshine and hope in this movie. And that is my controversial stance. Alright.
I think it's not that controversial. I mean, he wasn't the biggest problem with the movie at all, really.
No, absolutely not. And I think he's one of my favorite elements of it, outside of the ridiculous vine swinging. So, okay, guys, let's go ahead. Let's just get. This is like a therapy session. Sandy,
Yes?
let's treat this like an AA session. Like, so, hi,
See?
I'm Sandy Claus. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, I'm Sandy Claus.
Hi,
Hi,
Sandy.
Sandy.
And my first impressions of this movie years ago, I just watched the previous three, and I was excited to see Marion. I was glad she was back. I didn't really know what to think of Shia LaBeouf. There were definitely CGI. I was not a fan of, like most everyone. CGI gopher. I did
we'll
like
get to the CG gopher. We'll get to that.
I did like the Ark cameo. That was nice. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
I appreciated seeing it again, I should say. I don't know if it was the right thing to do or not. I don't know. I don't love this movie. I don't love it. Did it need to exist? No, it really didn't. But it does exist, and I just have to, learn to appreciate for what it is and try to pick out the positive things in it.
But unlike my son, it'll never die. It'll never go away.
Is that your Plinkett?
Yes, that's my Plinkett.
Sounds more like your Lucas.
Well, maybe. I mean, Plinkett is kind of like, I can see him kind of like doing a Lucas impression himself to a certain extent, so.
All this movie needs is a Jar Jar Binks cameo.
I think we have that with the Gophers.
Jar Jar Binks. Sorry, the George Lucas versus the People reference. Sorry about that.
All right, so who wants to share their story next?
How about Dragon?
Hi, I'm BlueDragonFive.
Hi,
Dragon.
So initially, I came out of this film. I was pretty satisfied with it initially. Bear in mind, with most films, initially, the first viewings, you always your most generous viewings. Like, okay, well, it was an experience. Yeah, your highs, you had your lows, and particularly the lows really hit upon you after you kind of rewatch it. Or basically, there was this period of time. Like Tiki and I, whenever we have just kind of gotten out of a movie, there's kind of a period of that, depending how long it's taken us to kind of talk about the film.
Spider-Man 3 took about a day.
But that sort of
It took
thing.
about
Like,
a day for that to really sit in with me. When I was sitting in the theaters, I was kind of in denial about it a little bit. I vividly remember that.
Anyway, yeah. So you have that with movies. Like Man of Steel. Initially, I was on such a high when I came out of that movie. Oh my God, I was blown away by that movie. Yes, and then
Of course, we got a great example of that reaction with Captain Logan and his reaction to Batman versus Superman and his on-camera reaction to...
So, I mean, I've absolutely been in Captain Logan's
Right.
shoes on that one, just being really either unsure of how to feel about a movie or particularly just kind of really above and beyond. No, it's the point is with Indiana Jones with this one, Crystal Skull. In particular, again, I just thought it was okay. That was, it wasn't bad, and again, it doesn't measure up to the original 3, but it was okay ending. I was thinking. Then again, dwelling on it, thinking about it, I will defend a more controversial stance. Tiki, I think yours is far less controversial because again, Shia LaBeouf is fine in this movie, but we have a good feeling that he's not going to be coming back in the future because he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way with his eccentricities. But again, that's off the screen. In this film, it doesn't seem that bad, but. But again, the point is, over time, we kind of, mainly the second act is really where the movie drops off. Third act
absolutely.
Third act's kind of like they just kind of need to end the movie. I mean, it was a lot nicer on the very ending of the film. And again, it's not a bad scene, but you don't really invest the way you should getting to that last scene. It's kind of my thesis statement. I think there are a lot of missed opportunities in this film. I think the first act's the strongest act. There's still problems in the first act. Don't get me wrong. Rewatching it today, I did find a lot of those. There are a lot of logic problems here and there in the first act that unfortunately kind of tarnished my positive memory of the first act, but I still have a lot of moments in the first act I do like, and most of the missed opportunities, like if they really just kind of flesh this out going forward, I think the movie could have been a lot stronger than it was, and I like a lot of the concepts in the movie. Just, I mean, if you're going to do a fourth one after you have like a really perfect ending that you had with Last Crusade, I mean, it's a gutsy move, and you want them to kind of succeed with that, and unfortunately didn't succeed as we would have hoped, and we can only hope going forward they're going to do what I was hoping they were going to achieve with this one, but for the next one.
Are you on a podcast?
Yeah. So yeah, that's sort of with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull initial viewing. A lot more positive as time goes on. You find more problems with it, such as my colleague has said, swinging through the jungle like Tarzan with monkey backup singers essentially.
All right, Jacob.
Hello, I am Jacob.
Hey,
Hi,
Jacob.
Jacob.
And I'm actually going to make a controversial statement as well. I like this movie.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I like this movie. I like it.
Okay.
Well, you guys aren't going to like gasp in shock or anything?
We forgive you, Jacob. We're all on the same side here. We're all.
It's a safe space for now. It's a safe space for now.
I like
What?
Spider-Man 3, so I'm not going to do anything here.
Oh boy.
Heck, I like Spider-Man 3 too.
I like James Franco very ironically in Spider-Man 3. Does that count?
Yeah, well, I kind of.
I like elements of Spider-Man 3. I really don't like Kirsten Dunst in Spider-Man 3.
Well, let me just say.
I didn't like
say
Kirsten Dunst from Spider-Man 1.
Well, that's fair, but anyway, continue, Jacob.
Sorry.
Will I say this is the best Indiana Jones movie? No, it's probably. I will agree, it probably is the worst out of the Indiana Jones movies, but I don't think that really makes it a bad movie at all. And it's even far from being Spielberg's worst. I mean, he's directed a lot worse than this.
I'll agree with you on that one.
I mean, a lot worse. I mean, we've done a few of them.
Nah.
I mean, I'll say the Terminal's probably a bit worse than this.
Oh, come on! Come on!
I'm not going to sign off on that personally.
Oh, come on.
Look,
I
I'm
mean,
with you in that this film is not the worst movie ever. I just think it's a missed opportunity. But come on, the Terminal is far superior to this film. Come on.
I'm not going to
Hey,
say.
hey, everyone has their own opinion here.
All right, I'm sorry. Go on, Jake. Go on.
Yeah,
I'm not saying the Terminal. I'm not saying the Terminal is bad. I mean, like, I'm not saying the Terminal is bad. I'm just saying, like, I would say Always and 1941 are worse than that.
Yeah.
And
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you Always in 1941. I'll definitely give you that.
And I even kind of like 1941 even a little bit. But okay, moving on. I know that I like this movie. I did see it in theaters, granted, and I did like the elements of it. And granted, I didn't. Granted, like I said, it was the worst of the movies. I will give it that. But I still don't think it's bad. I found a lot of enjoyable elements. I mean, like these movies, they're supposed to suspend your disbelief at this kind of thing. You're not supposed to go in there looking for logic. You're supposed to have a fun time. That's what I had. It's just a fun time. Obviously, I'm aware of the issues, but that doesn't really. Not a lot of it done. A lot of it doesn't really tarnish my viewing of it.
Okay.
Obviously, I will admit the problems, and I can't really deny them, considering they're your opinions and all that. And I probably will agree with them watching them again. I obviously probably like it more than you guys do, probably.
Well, Jacob, I think you're making an interesting point here because I think that a lot of people they don't like it because it doesn't meet the standards that the other films met. And if the other three films didn't exist and this was the only Indiana Jones film we had, people would probably really like it. Because, well, I'm sure they would. I'm sure people would love it because it's still Indiana Jones. It's an adventure, and Shia LaBeouf, even though he's not. I don't know. I'm not going to mention.
We'll get to Shia. We'll get to Shia. I'll defend Shia with my heart and soul in this movie. All right.
As I was saying, it's still Indiana Jones. It's still a really great adventure, even though it has its cheesy moments. I think that's just weighs it down there. It just doesn't meet standards of the other films, and that's why people don't like it. So I'm glad you brought that up, Jacob.
And to be fair, I mean, just to give the movie points going in, is that again, it's an impossible thing to do. Like, it's one of the most impossible tasks to take such a beloved kind of trilogy and kind of come back with another one, and especially years later. I mean, they had an uphill battle from the start, and they were pushing the boulder uphill on this one.
Well, and like I said, and I also really didn't mind the whole sci-fi aspect because it kind of like there was something new in, and they didn't really overstate it that much.
Plus, sci-fi was something that was really big in the 50s, so that's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't really find it as I didn't find it as ridiculous as some of the other things. I mean, in the second movie, you had a guy tearing people's hearts out, so you kind of have to spend your disbelief going into that as well.
Right,
So-
right.
So yeah, that's one thing I really didn't. That's one thing. That's one reason why I didn't really mind it. And I mean, like I said, a lot of people actually didn't like the. Bring up a good episode of South Park. You remember the episode that parodied that?
Oh
Yeah.
God, yes, I love
they-
that episode.
They weren't parodying they weren't necessarily parodying the movie itself. They were parodying how people reacted.
Yeah,
to it.
exactly. That's what South Park does best. They kind of parody like the cultural reaction to thing more than the thing itself.
I mean, what they were parodying was like people were like saying they ruined it. Like they sing like, and South Park basically saying, just suspend your disbelief, just enjoy the dang movie.
right, exactly.
I thought what they were saying was it was raping Indiana Jones.
Well, I was trying not to say that out loud.
Well,
But yes, that's what they said.
I'm saying that's what people have said. There are songs about it, so I suppose George Lucas did that to childhood,
But yes, like I said, they're basically making fun of and basically pointing out people like you're making fun of you're doing that really.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just a movie. Calm down.
All right, Dragon. So do you have some background on this?
That's basically all I have to say about that.
Okay.
So to the snack table on this therapy session. Okay, now we're gonna get started. Okay.
I call dibs on the bear claws, just like Angel Batista. You hear that, Angel? Keep away from my bear claws.
I want the strawberry frosted donuts. Okay, so background. So here's the background. Here's kind of what led us to getting Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So it all begins with Spielberg and George Lucas. They agree. Last Crusade should be the ending to the Indiana Jones trilogy. It's a really nice note to end that on. Hence the whole right off to the sunset. Really excellent kind of visual ending for Indiana Jones, like the next adventure on the horizon. You don't know when it's going to end. It's kind of like it always goes on, sort of ending. George Lucas agrees to this, and he says, well, he's going to pursue other things Indiana Jones with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles TV show. He's producing that. He's kind of overseeing that one. So again, it kind of feeds him like kind of telling more stories through Indy's past. You go to various kind of basically doing what we really would love to see on Gotham, honestly. You get to go different eras of Indy's age, and you get to go on these adventures. So, anyway, so Harrison Ford, he appeared in one of these episodes, which, as an older Indiana Jones, he had a beard, and was like kind of I guess kind of nearing his fate, like kind of late 40s, early 50s Indiana Jones, perhaps. I don't know, it was kind of mid the... point is, he played an older Indiana Jones. And this inspired George Lucas with the intrigue of seeing an older Indiana Jones in the 1950s. And which kind of led him to, well, okay, you put Indy in the 1950s, what kind of era would that be? Okay, you could do kind of an homage, because he always like, compare it to the movie serials or the films about India, all sorts of things, kind of homage kind of the old film stock, and the films in the 1950s were a lot of B-movie sci-fi settings, so that's kind of what he was working with. Let's put India in a B-movie sci-fi setting, and also I'm sure there's like a lot of nostalgia for American Graffiti going on, not exactly stated, but I could assume that with George Lucas, hey, American Graffiti, good times. So, Harrison Ford initially turns George Lucas's offer down, because the idea is, Spielberg would just produce the films like he's done with other stuff. He would produce it while George Lucas or someone else would direct. So he said, you know what, it was Stephen Knott at the helm, and I'm not quite sure I want to return it, because we had a really good ending, that sort of thing. So Ford turns it down initially. Meanwhile, George Lucas, he's still kind of preparing it just in case eventually makes that sell. So he gets a fugitive writer, Jeb Stewart, who wrote the Harrison Ford Fugitive film. Anyway, he kind of comes up with the idea of Indy getting married by the end, but also Henry Jones Sr., Sean Connery, before his retirement. The idea was he was going to appear. He was going to appear in a little kind of cameo, where he was going to pose the question Indy, questioning, basically before he gets married, kind of questioning Indiana Jones' life work as an archaeologist, kind of making him kind of go through a midlife crisis of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
So, also the idea that was kind of started in this draft was Stalin's interest in psychic warfare, which clicks with the 50s sci-fi angle, which eventually gets us psychic aliens, which we'll definitely see in this film. So Independence Day comes out, and that really puts a damper on Steven Spielberg's interest. His interest is really off, because he don't want to do an alien invasion film after such a really well done, successful version of that, in Spielberg's opinion. And this leads George Lucas in the meantime to do the Star Wars prequels in the meantime. Well, he's just kind of got some time to kill Spielberg's interests off. I'll do Star Wars prequels now. So that's why there was kind of a holding period between the end of the first Star Wars and this.
Right.
Anyways, meanwhile, on Spielberg's side of this, fans and literally his own kids are asking Spielberg when he's doing the next film. Everyone, for years and years, people have been begging him, said, "Please, Spielberg, do another one, please, Stephen."
And of course they reacted like they usually do.
If you want, and you don't like what you get. So, at an AFI film tribute in 2000, same year as Spielberg is getting it from his own kids at this point. In 2000, it's like, when are you doing the next one, Dad? It's an AFI film tribute to Harrison Ford. It's basically Ford and all the people have been big, people in his life, such as Spielberg, Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy, all the kind of familiar faces from Indiana Jones. They're all kind of at a banquet, kind of tributing Harrison Ford, and then kind of Harrison Ford, I assume, time has passed at this point. He's really longing for the fun experience of shooting the Indiana Jones films, because they had a blast shooting them whenever they did that. So he kind of figures, okay, he signs off on it. Bear in mind, Spielberg was the biggest holdout, but still Ford was the one who championed this film into existence. So let's not forget that. He said, well, let's do a new one. It's really fun making those films. It's been many years. How many I got left. Let's do some Indiana Jones. So they get much of the old gang back as they can. A few don't make it back, like John Rhys Davies, whose role wasn't substantial enough for him to come back. He wanted to come back, but he wanted an actual role, not a cameo at the end, which they were planning on, which we'll probably get to in the commentary. Anyway, so George Lucas, meanwhile, is really trying to sell Steven on the aliens. Again, Spielberg's like, anti-alien, we've already seen it done. I've done tons of movies about aliens. I'm sick and tired of aliens. George Lucas sells him on the interdimensional aliens BS, which is kind of the excuse. Spielberg most likely had this kindness of a friendship, says, okay, and Lucas kind of fleshes it out more and grounds it by saying, we'll tie into the Crystal Skull legend, which is a deleted idea from the Young Indiana Jones show before they got to do those episodes.
Which actually do exist in real life.
Yes. Well, it's a lot of talk and everything.
The whole alien thing was clued by the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the point is, there's a slew of unmade Young Indiana Jones episodes George Lucas wanted to go along with, and one of them involving the Crystal Skull. So he's kind of working that back into the mix here with Indiana Jones. The Crystal Skull idea, tying it into the aliens, which are these interdimensional beings. It sold Spielberg. Reluctantly. He was very reluctant on the aliens. So it was just literally, Lucas just weared him down on that one. Frank Darabont, he's thinking about ex-Nazi war criminals as the bad guys, and this gets axed because Spielberg, after he's done kind of one of his magnum opus films, kind of Schindler's List, he's kind of what I like to call Spielberg suffering through Nazi burnout. He's just done with Nazis. Can't say anything more about Nazis. Can't trivialize them after he's seen all the horrible stuff in Schindler's List. So then enters one of my favorite Spielberg writers, who has a mixed bag for a resume, Jeff Nathanson, who wrote Catch Me If You Can and wrote The Terminal, along with David Koepp, who I believe wrote the screenplay for Jurassic Park and many other films.
Yeah, Jurassic Park, definitely, yeah.
Basically, these two guys are kind of brought in as kind of like the final kind of like, you'll see the names in the credits, screenwriters and scriptwriters for the film, along with George Lucas. They work on the script, and after a series of choices, we have not Indiana Jones and the Sorcerer, but not Indiana Jones and the Son of Indiana Jones, but Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Actual names that were considered. So,
Indiana Jones and the Son of Indiana Jones. Roll right up.
I kid you not. That was one of the titles pitched.
I got to admit, I do kind of like Saucerman from Mars.
I do too. I kind of like that.
It rolls right off the tongue. Indiana Jones, Son of Indiana Jones. It rolls right off the tongue.
That's all.
Didn't Lawrence Kasdan kind of work on this too a little bit?
Well, we'll get to that in the commentary. I'll let you know.
Because I could have sworn he did something for this.
He did, but we'll get to it.
Okay. So, I guess with that in mind, guys, are you ready to get to the actual commentary?
Yep.
If you guys are willing, I'm willing.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Yep.
I've already purchased it, so I'm watching it.
Yeah. Well,
all right, folks. Well, if you're masochistic enough to watch this movie along with us, go ahead and get the time step to 000.
Who knows, our commentary might be more painful to watch.
Well, if you just kind of want to watch us suffer through the pain, just because you have a, because if you want to just see us suffer, we'll do our running best to, to make a conversation that doesn't necessarily have to. You have to watch them. Yeah, I'm doing a bad job.
You finally get to hear Tiki's Paramount rant, Paramount Gopher rant.
You do. So
and I have a good rebuttal for that.
All right. Oh boy. With that in mind, I guess we should get going. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, I'm sorry. We'll do our level best to have the conversation flow, and you don't necessarily need to watch the movie to listen to the conversation. Should be fun either way. All right, so I'm gonna count up to 3, guys. In 1.
We go on go.
Go on go, yes. In 1, 2, 3, go! May God help us all. Oh dear.
Lucasfilm.
Shiny like Phantom Menace Lucasfilm, which was like a bad sign right off the bat.
It's an omen.
Yeah.
Paramount.
I do like that they're continuing the tradition of the
I
Paramount
like that they're
logo.
continuing the tradition, but it's insulting.
Yeah, it's the weakest of all
execution
of them.
was very bad.
Yeah.
Fucking see it, like it's a cartoon. Like I honestly thought we were watching like a short cartoon before the actual movie for a second.
I think that's going a bit far. Come on.
You know what you're doing, Tiki?
What?
You're making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
So right now, this is not a bad way to kind of set the period. You know, we get kind of the American Graffiti style, kind of the 50s teens kind of drag racing against the military. I like kind of the atomic era kind of iconography, like when we make our turn to the main plot. You know, we have like the Atomic Cafe coming up. And again, there's a lot of nice little design touches in this one that really set the period.
Yeah, I've definitely warmed up to this opening. I remember when I first saw it, I was thrown off a little bit just because of the tone of it. But you're right, Dragon. It definitely does set the 50s atmosphere very well, in addition to the kind of Indiana Jones military angle. So it's a nice blend of the two, I think.
And I love on the rewatch that the car they're racing against, I believe, is the one with Indiana Jones in the trunk, which is kind of fun.
Pretty sure, yeah.
My God, I love 50s cars so much. Even the one they're racing against here looks really sweet. Just there was some comedy here. Was the guy, no, don't even race. What are you talking about? We're on the job here. Also, I like that we're setting. I like that the opening is kind of set in Nevada. Again, a new Indiana Jones location. Really, I like we haven't really repeated ourselves with kind of the territory.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And, of course, Nevada, the Area 51 connection, very logical place to start the sci-fi story.
Yeah, and I know this might be controversial, but coming up I'll save it for when it's revealed, I guess. But I do like kind of this. I like Indiana Jones. It plays as like an unexpected Indiana Jones introduction. I mean, I love it. It's not. Don't run. Nothing will top the Raiders reveal, but coming up there, it was like hear the music swell. It's been years since we've seen Indiana Jones, and he comes back. He grabs the hat first. I mean, that's a good reveal. Let's not let's give credit what credit's due. It's really cool.
I'm actually kind of anxious to see this movie because I haven't seen it in years. I have some pretty distinct memories about it. Not that they're good, but.
On the production diaries I was watching, there was a cool little tidbit from Ray Winstone when he was saying, like, okay, like, when I realized we were really on the Indiana Jones movie was when Harrison gets out of the trunk, he picks up the hat, but the camera's not focused on Harrison, the camera's focused on Harrison's shadow.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I know man, God, that shadow shot coming up is really good. And again, that was George Lucas's idea of kind of introduce Indy kind of in a perilous situation, as we kind of know Indy to be in. Again, from one mess into another, he's being pulled out of a trunk, which it was a clever idea.
Yeah, that was another George Lucas special. George Lucas wanted to introduce Indy in another, in definitely like the most vulnerable position he's been in an introduction so far.
Yeah, he's an old man in a trunk.
Right.
And again, it's also kind of a nice reveal to see, again, Indy has, he's aged a few years. Again, we're in the 50s, not the 30s anymore, so there's a difference.
Of course. This is, again, there's some of these shots are really, Spielberg, it's like, you can never take that away from Spielberg. He knows how to set up a shot. Even if a movie that Spielberg does is a little underwhelming, he's a damn... Like, he knows how to compose a shot, and he knows how to work with his director of photography and cinematography.
Yeah, we had Janusz in this one. Janusz, the guy he did Terminal, he did Catch Me If You Can.
Mm-hmm.
He's done like every single one since a long time.
Yeah, he did a consistent 7-year record, but now it's more. But I'm just saying there was a time where 7 years consistent. Here we go, folks. There's that awesome, in shadow, the hat reveal. Now we say,
that's nice.
And Indiana Jones is never going to be more cool in the rest of the movie than after that one moment.
My God, this moment's awesome. I hate that they kind of cut the whole Russians. I hate these guys. I mean, you know that had to be cut.
Yeah, that's one of the things that a lot of people complain about.
It's like he just hates everyone. Russians, Germans.
This is still pretty cool, though. I like the whole like, put your hands down, will you embarrass them? That's kind of funny. I mean, right now what we have with Mac, I mean, I like Mac up to the relay. I just hate when we drag on with like Mac's loyalties and stuff. Like this,
Mac kind of derails the whole movie for me to a certain extent.
Yeah, but I mean, like Mac from the the initial thing we've seen before, like even with Raiders, with kind of our assistant Indiana Jones who kind of is a turncoat on. That was real solid so far in this movie. Like, okay, well, he turns on, it's like a double-edged thing again, especially in the 50s, kind of loyalties being in question. I mean, for him, that makes sense.
I guess, but like you said, it's like, my God, by the time we get to Act 2, it's funny because in the production diaries, Spielberg specifically says that they wrote Mac to be the most complex side character.
God. I feel Spielberg has those interviews written out for him. They're not doing him any justice.
Yeah, they said that Mac was going to be the most complex side character in the entire Indiana Jones franchise. Yeah. And that might be true to a certain extent. It's just he's cartoonishly, like, he's just complex because he has so many different, like, sides that he keeps turning on and just becomes over the top.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we think of Cate Blanchett in this movie? Are we pro or con? I'm kind of somewhere in the middle.
Let me tell you this. Go on, Sammy.
I kind of agree with Tiki. I mean, at first I really wasn't sure what to make of her. I think if... I just don't know. I'd have to say in the middle as well.
Cate Blanchett, she's a mixed bag because, again, I love the idea of, okay, this is very different than what we've seen with Indiana Jones villains before. Again, she's a female Russian, a bad guy, again, it's kind of new for Indiana Jones. It's like a lot of potential interesting ideas. In fact, she's KGB, and she's kind of played like, not necessarily a bad guy with her resume. I don't really want to make her villainous, of course. She acts villainous throughout the film, but, again, Cate Blanchett, excellent actress, but in this film, she's just... I don't think her heart's in it. That's the thing. It's just like she's playing cartoon.
I mean, she does get into character very well, but there's just not much of a character there beyond just like kind of like the moose and squirrel,
That's all she's got to work with.
Yeah, the moose and squirrel.
It's kind of funny, Tika. There's a character that was created for Batman the Animated Series called Red Claw, and she was a much more interesting version of this character, essentially. She was a Russian terrorist, essentially.
I will admit, this is a very cool place to set the opening action sequence of the film.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of tying in the warehouse to Area 51?
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's pretty logical.
Yeah, I think it's a decent idea.
Now, this theme, they played the thing with the Ark from Raiders, and it just made me think they were looking for the Ark of the Covenant, and then it was a huge letdown when they didn't pull out the Ark of the Covenant.
Well, the Ark of the Covenant's not magnetic.
And they did give the Ark a cameo, at least.
I do like the cameo. And by the way, fun fact about that cameo, that is the very same Ark of the Covenant that appeared in the Indiana Jones.
That's awesome.
It's not a recreation. That's the original.
It's little stuff like that. Like, they keep sound effects in this movie, like from the original movies.
Yeah.
It's little things like that I like.
Is the sword really necessary to accentuate her point right there? I mean, she takes a step forward and then she draws the sword on him. I don't really...
Yeah, I think the whole sword thing with her is a little...
Well, yeah. Well, I think I place that a little more on Mutt Williams. Again, not with his character, not with his performance, just with his characterization of like he has to be a sword fighter. Anyway.
Right.
And now this, okay, first of all, a big gripe. I love this scene. I'm going to still gripe about here and there. It's like, what? No one has a compass? Really?
Yeah, I agree.
I do love I love throughout this film, though, I love the idea of Indy kind of being reluctantly helpful to the Russians. I love him like working under duress with the Russians and being very useful. I love that idea. Like, this bullet, the whole... I know they're very inconsistent with the magnetism thing. Like, how could it, attract these things through a crate in this scene, yet not attract everything in the room every scene. It's a consistency problem.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. When I first saw this this magnet thing with the gunpowder, it was pretty much like warning sign number 2 after the CG gophers.
Well, I thought this was cool though. I mean, it kind of. I think the gunpowder, like using like the buckshots from the from the shotgun, little ball bearings in the shotguns to find the thing. It was really inventive of Indiana Jones. It was fitting with kind of the archaeology kind of guy thinking outside the box.
I just think the whole like the gunpowder, just the way they execute the look of the gunpowder, just how it just kind of floats. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right for me.
I'm saying compared to everything else in the film, I'll give it a pass. You know, it's very, it's supposed to kind of go in a direction. You can't really do that practically.
Yeah.
And this again, so far, I just love and being very, very useful and very good at what he does here. This is all again, first act. I mean, this opening scene, I guess the majority of the first act is really the strongest part of the film for me. It's like when they're doing most stuff right, and then they only have a few logic questions. Like again, no compass really. Yeah. And just put the idea of what they're looking for with the kind of the Roswell aliens. Again, I like how they're introducing the concept of aliens in this. You know, it's a Roswell. Again, they're tying into actual history. Okay, so you got Area 51, the big kind of ominous location. Okay, so it's a storage warehouse. I can buy that. They're finding the Roswell alien, which has this magnetic thing. Okay, maybe the Roswell alien's the crystal skull thing you're looking for. Okay, I can buy into that. Just later on, there's a point in the second act where they really convolute the whole crystal skull. There's like various crystal skulls. They're different aliens. That's when they're making it too much about the item. And that's the key flaw of this film. With you're focusing too much on the item and making it overly complicated in terms of plot, not in terms of execution.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean the ramble. I'm just kind of getting it out there. So
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Like I said earlier, the whole crystal skull thing kind of cleared the alien thing from the very beginning. I mean, if they just did research on whether people just actually read something and knew what the crystal skulls were.
Yeah. Yeah, Mary, you have to introduce that to an extent, but if you explain it too much, then it's like a question of like, again, as you've said before yourself, I believe, in the previous commentaries, we had like the Holy Grail and the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant are very kind. You've either heard a legend, you kind of can relate to them instantly. Okay, I've kind of heard that they carry the Ten Commandments, or it's the Holy Grail, so you kind of have heard something about it beforehand.
Is it kind of funny that the even-numbered Indiana Jones movies are the lesser-known mythologies?
That is interesting, yeah.
I apologize if I'm not talking very much here. I'm just kind of focused on this movie.
Well, you got subtitles?
Yeah, I have subtitles.
Good.
Also, what timestamp are you guys on?
I'm on 12. Yeah, I'm on 12:16.
Yeah.
What he said.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. Mine kind of lagged just a little bit.
12:23 now.
Yeah, what he said. I'm on. Sandy and I are linked up.
Okay, let me know when you get to 12:51. I'm sorry.
All right.
12:51.
Well.
So again, like tying these established things together, again, it's kind of doing what we've had with the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail beforehand, where it's like something we kind of wrap. I think we can wrap our minds around a little more easily. Okay, 51 now.
Okay, got it.
It's like something it's already established. It's kind of iconic, and everyone kind of knows of Area 51, which again issues kind of with the whole 50 setting, kind of gets us into kind of the iffy times, kind of the paranoid times. Like you don't know what the government has, what they don't have. You don't know, all these like the Red Scare and everything. It's feeding into the times very well, is what I'm getting at here. I'm rambling. I'm getting it the wrong way, but yeah.
And this is probably one of the better action sequences. It's very well timed. It's very much in the same style as a classic Indiana Jones fight scene. A lot of good stunt work. Kind of proves Harrison Ford still got it to a certain extent.
This is a bad shot, though. I mean, right here, you don't reveal that in the wide shot. He's holding a gun on him. This just bugs me. That's a really bad shot for a reveal. It's a spoiled reveal.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, T. You're absolutely right. I was about to agree with you on about all those. Yeah, right. It does show you Harrison Ford still got in this action scene now.
And here we go. Can we just kind of count how many times Mac turned sides in this movie?
Yeah, and this is the initial one.
Let's give it a running count.
This one's fine. Just later on when he switches sides.
Okay, so this is number 1. Let's give it a 1. I seriously want to tally this shit.
Well, Tiki, it's not going to be a high tally. It's not that long a movie.
Well, I know, but it's at least 3. It's at least 3.
Yes, it's at least 3.
Remember, he's lying to him second time around.
Shot right in the foot. Ah, it's got
Yeah,
hurt.
that was pretty cool. And something was pointed out in the Red Letter Media review that Indy he only technically kills one person in this film.
Yeah, and it's just kind of a sign of the times, and like Red Letter Media also pointed out, it's kind of the grandfather thing with Spielberg and Lucas.
Yeah, which we'll get into perhaps a little later on. I mean, this is a really cool action scenes. Again, it's in a very familiar kind of like nostalgic setting for us because this is a huge thing at the end of Raiders. Like, it's such a cool, like ominous location. And again, the more I'm thinking about it, it is so fitting of the paranoid times. This, the crate setting because again, it had all that ominous.
Yeah, and I like how it's not like the traditional view of Area 51 is like a lot of like harsh steel.
Oh,
and,
there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, it's just really awesome.
Like harsh steel and like alien autopsies and shit like that. And no, it's just like Area 51 really is probably just like pretty much like this, just warehouses full of military secrets.
I really hate the writing on that one bit where he says, "You don't know him, you don't know him,
you don't know him."
Such a dumb line. I mean, we do need to repeat that line. I do like we are kind of in a style with the other Indiana Jones films. We're kind of building up his fight with the muscle guy.
Yeah, I think he's probably one of the better muscle guys we get, just in terms of development throughout the whole movie.
Because he gets a lot of comedy in this first act.
He does. He is, I think, one of the elements of this movie that really stands up and really feels like something that's out of the old movies, I think.
Yeah, and I do love them tying in like a lot of the 50s iconography into the plot like this. Again, like how we have the rocket sled. I mean, these elements are really cool.
What do you guys think of this, though? Because this is kind of like the predecessor to the nuking the fridge, is the rocket.
And I'm gonna have to be in defense on that one. But I think that honestly, Tiki, if this and the nuclear fridge are the only CGI in the film, I think I'd be a lot happier. Aside from like the things that are impossible to do without CGI. I mean, literally, if you like again, like the gunpowder stuff, like little bits here and there. Like
Right.
I just wish I wish the rocket sled and nuclear fridge are the only CG in this film, honestly.
Oh, I agree. We'll get to that when we get.
And again, they're the only halfway. They're halfway decent and welcome
you know.
CG.
bad fate.
Okay, now to be fair, Indy doesn't directly kill people, but there's still a lot of gruesome death in this movie.
Yeah,
Like, those people just got burned alive.
I love their faces. Their faces are hilarious.
and again, we have a cool rocket sled thing. Then CG
fucking
gophers.
chipmunks.
That's what I'm
Just
saying.
Go
like,
first.
I vividly remember the first time I saw this.
They don't
in the
sing,
theater.
Tiki. They don't sing.
The first time I saw this in the theater, I was just like, why are we doing this movie? Why are we
funny,
doing
though.
this?
I love. I mean, again, it's kind of set up a relationship with him and the muscle. Just like this guy.
Not that molehills, Tiki.
Just like shove him over like that.
Yeah, that's the whole picky thing I was talking about. Complaining about CGI gophers. It's just kind of
I'm
pointless.
complaining about CGI gophers because there's literally no reason for them to be there.
Very least CG. They have to be CG if you're gonna have
Yeah.
to. I mean, I'm not saying you have to train them. Just like have them roaming around. You don't have to.
There's no reason for it. There's absolutely no reason for it.
If anything, you save money by not having CG gophers. I don't get it. Why do we need them?
Exactly. Right.
Anyway, so again, this is honestly there's some other really great sequences in the first act, but honestly, I really love the kind of the atomic test town. I really do, and I don't mind. I can give, because I like it so much, I can give it a buy for a nuclear fridge. I mean, that one's just I'll defend that a little bit more. I just love him kind of roaming through the town here. I just love him these. Again, it's like you've probably learned about these in school, and you're finally getting to see him interact with such an iconic fictional character. Oh my God, Indy's in like one of the nuclear test towns.
Yeah, it is a very fun kind of. I remember in the theater, I was like, okay, this is some surreal imagery, but I'm kind of buying it. It's like it's not something I ever thought I'd see, but
He just looks very out of place.
That's what I'm saying. It just feels so. It's like Indy's in kind of this bizarre setting, and I love it. The minute you kind of piece together, like, oh my God, they're dummies. Then you piece together, oh no, it's a nuclear bombing test down. It's the image. I just love the imminent danger you're feeling Indy's in right now. Oh my God, they're gonna drop a bomb on Indiana Jones. They can't escape. There's no
They
way
put a
you
lot
can-
of money into this town. My
Well, no,
gosh.
they have to do this to test all these, they test like the effects and all the various things.
Mhm.
Oh, I guess. But I mean, still, I mean, all the people who worked on that town, the
Yeah.
cars and everything, it just blow it up.
Well, they have to test it on everything, even like the radio waves on the TV. They gotta check
Right,
that out.
right.
And again, I just love it's the imminent danger, and this kind of shows. Hold on, it's like I would give this one the miracle exemption because it's such a fun idea. Indiana Jones could survive a nuclear explosion. It's again, it's like it shows like it's Indiana Jones surviving. He's literally survived everything at this point. Many people call it jumping the shark. I'll admit to that, but it's like jumping the shark, and like still the shark jump itself is entertaining. Everything after that is a little much. But I'm saying, still, surviving a nuclear explosion by being clever, by getting inside the lead-lined refrigerator. I'll admit, yes, reality he would be far more bad and bruised coming out of it. I am not arguing with that, but still, it's such a fun idea that our fictional.
I don't have a problem with him surviving the radiation through the lead line thing. That's not the part of this I have a problem with.
Well, a lot of
that's the
people,
problem.
and a lot of people do have a problem with it. That's the thing.
That's the thing. I mean,
I'm going to point out what I do have a problem with when we get to it, but okay, so like, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and give the lead thing a buy. It's fine, I guess. But having said that, Indy's in the fridge. It's just going flying, and it's. I don't buy that Indy's not breaking bones left and right. When it's
I know, right?
That's what I don't buy. I can get behind the lead protecting him from the radiation. I can't get behind how violently it bounces and how he's just like able to stumble out of there.
Tiki, look, you're absolutely right, but the only thing I could even say
Fuck you, Gopher! Fuck you!
The only thing I could say to that.
Tiki.
The only thing I could say is, again, Indy survived a lot of damage over the years, which would probably be impossible for him to survive. And this is the creme de la creme. Again, it's the most push we've ever seen, and that's why it's a.
And I do like this shot a lot.
That's what I'm saying. It leads to this awesome shot. It's such a fun idea, and you're right. There should be more bad and bruised. And that, in retrospect, I wish they kind of would have him at least. I'm not saying entirely in traction or anything, but at least very, very bruised. Up, maybe a broken arm or something, like an arm in a sling initially, so to show that Indy's getting older and it's he's not as indestructible as he used to be, but still he's really clever that he could survive something as dangerous as this.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, though, I mean, I think out of everything else, like I'll take this any day over the Tarzan swings. I really wish people would lighten up over it, but unfortunately, it's the most visually bombastic of things he survived, so it's going to be in the consciousness forever. Unfortunately.
This whole movie has people overreacting over everything.
Yeah, it's like this is the one I would easily give a pass, and I think people would easily give a pass if the movie were a little stronger later on. They would be able to give this one a pass.
Probably.
I mean, they overreact to this. They overreact
I
to the
actually
gophers,
think the
swings.
waterfalls towards the end are probably a little bit more implausible.
That's what I'm saying. At least it's grounded in somewhat of a pseudoscience of you can survive in a lead-lined refrigerator, and Indy's survived many worse things over the years. So there's the pseudoscience behind it. The fictional pseudoscience.
Like, I think the Waterfalls was basically like, how do we top Temple of Doom?
Yeah. So let's see. So this is a plot line that goes absolutely nowhere.
Nowhere. Just
however,
dropped like a lead balloon.
Now the FBI guy with the glasses here, that's Neil Flynn. He voiced XR in Buzz Lightyear Star Command. I just want to mention that real quick. Yeah, good voice actor. One of the voice actors for XR. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I forget. I think it's Neil Flynn who says this. Point is, one of the FBI guys is about to say this really prickish line where he says, The good general here, he points out, Indiana Jones, he's earned so many medals for war and doing a lot of brave things, etc., etc. He says, well, yes, but does he deserve them? You prick, of course he deserved them.
It's Indiana goddamn Jones!
Can I say one thing here?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to touch on his costume he has right now. It does not feel like 50s, like, apparel.
Well, I remember, I know it was mostly in the 60s with the FBI.
I mean, that is just so, like, I mean, from what, I can't remember when we saw something this just low-key in any of the other films. I mean, it's just a white T-shirt and some pants. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, no, it's just like the stuff it's like a kind of a classic military thing they'll give you if you've been scrubbed down. He's just wearing T-shirt and army pants, I think.
Those did exist in the 50s.
I know, but it's just not very creative on the costume designer's part. It seems like.
Well,
I'm saying he was just scrubbed down. It's like he hasn't gotten dressed up or anything. He just got scrubbed down.
And ladies and gentlemen, here we enter the strongest part of the movie. Once we leave the college, it's all downhill from here.
Well, everything on campus of the college is pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying. The campus college stuff is really good. It's definitely the strongest chunk of the movie.
Yeah.
I would wager to say some of it probably measures up to some of the stuff in the other movies. But, like I said, after this, it's pretty much a downhill slope.
I want to mention real quick, Jim Broadbent, who's is playing the dean of Charlie, the dean of the college.
Basically playing Brody 2.0.
Yeah, but no, he's actually he's the actual dean of the college. Brody's just the friend of NES. He funds and gives grants to the college, and he runs the museum that probably is affiliated with the college.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to question this though. Why is he firing him in the middle, telling him he's kind of fired in the middle of class?
Yeah, that's a good point. I do like the classroom's reaction to it, though.
That is awesome, because again, I remember...
I think there's some really well-timed comedy with the students in this movie.
Because remember, the continuing idea from all the films is that the students love
of course.
Jones. They love him. They love Dr. Jones. All right, they love that. The students are like, so this guy not... Some of them probably have gotten wind of, oh my god, he goes around the world to explore stuff, and he's like a rock star in this place.
I'm going to explore some of that when I get to my Indy 5 pitch. I'm going to kind of explore that angle of him.
I look forward to that, so...
But no, I mean, Jim Broadbent, he definitely kind of brings a similar presence to the film that Brody did, at least in Raiders, not necessarily...
Yeah. I mean, they mirror the shot exactly when he's looking at the person. I mean, it's intentionally, he's kind of our Brody. So you're right, T. I'm just saying, he's also kind of a different position. So he's more in line with the college.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like that. He really stuck up for Indy here, where he basically he surrendered his job so Indy could still get a paycheck.
Yeah, that was a good little... Like, he's not in the movie very much, but he does get a couple good character beats.
I do like, again, there's a missed opportunity in the film just kind of in terms of the story. There's a theme that's kind of brought up here of, the classic thing we've seen beforehand where it's, putting trust in the right friends.
Of course.
And that really could have tied into the whole, who do you trust in when everyone's being accused of being a communist these days.
Yeah, that's true. They could have worked that in a lot stronger than they did. It's just kind of like a surface-level thing. Oh, man.
Jim Broadbent has an excellent line in this scene where he says...
Just the feels, though. The feels seeing the framed photograph of Sean Connery, man.
And again, it leads all the speculation of if the Grail worked or not, because we see that photo.
Right.
I mean, obviously it didn't, but the question is, how long or what? How does the Grail work? Eternal life, my foot, that sort of thing. But I gotta tell you though, Broadbent's character, he had a really excellent line. I really think could have shaped the movie, and it's such a cool concept. He says, we're at the point in life where life starts taking things away. It stops giving you and takes things away. It's like such a cool concept, and this film does play with it initially. Is that the strip? It follows this, but it doesn't make it as strong as it could be. Is where it's the concept of stripping Indy of everything, literally everything. His job is, the two characters we've seen beforehand. His father, Brody, Indy is alone at this point in the film. He's absolutely at his lowest place, and throughout the film, he'll regain his family and friends.
Right, so Mutt Williams, like I said, I like the introduction to this character. I think he has a good presence. I think he kind of embodies the 1950s spirit of this movie.
I really love this intro as kind of an homage to Brando from the Wile.
Yes. You're running out of platform, kid.
I mean, you're right, Dave. They get a really good dynamic in the film. Again, LaBeouf's not bad in the film, but we do give him a lot of guff. That's more so just... Mainly is more of his...
Because he's a Fruit Loop dingus in real life.
He's a what?
A Fruit Loop dingus.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna point out my favorite moment in the whole film, which might not be surprising to people, but it happens in this diner scene. It's a character beat that I think kind of embodies what I like about the dynamic between Shia and Harrison.
Is it when he dips his comb into the guy's drink?
No, not necessarily.
I was saying that was really... I love look at the reaction the guy gives as the girl pointed out to him.
I never noticed that reaction before.
At least they could have been looking over his shoulder. It looks to me like, oh my god, what that guy just do to my drink, man? But
all right, here we go. Shia takes the drink, and then Harrison instantly, bam, magic. That is magic right there. Magic just happened. I cannot overstate how much I love that moment.
Yeah, it sets up their dynamic very well. You know, he'll do something kind of young and reckless in Indy without being the cop. It's like something Indy would have done in the past, and now Indy's kind of adjusting for it.
Absolutely. That is kind of the thesis statement on why I defend Mutt Williams. I love moments like that throughout the movie.
Yeah, there's a strong moments. I'll give you that. Absolutely. I will say this: in this scene, they bring up kind of another theme that's been throughout the movies that I think is interesting. Is like the whole archaeologists and their obsessions. Where Abner Ravenwood, he and Indy were obsessed over the Ark. They had their big kind of crown jewel archaeological pursuits. So Abner Ravenwood and Indy had the Ark. Henry Jones Sr. he had the Holy Grail, and Oxley in this film he had the Crystal Skulls. I like them kind of fleshing that. Every archaeologist kind of has their coveted item. I gotta tell you, rewatching this film, I was reminded of something I completely forgot about, and I really don't like. I don't like how they make this. I don't like how they make Akator, the place to go to in the third act. I don't like how they make it seem like really it's El Dorado, because they're playing a lot like El Dorado's location.
I feel like that's kind of like a waste of potential for a future Indiana Jones movie, actually.
Because El Dorados are really, really. I'm not just. I don't know. My main familiarity is from.
And then their rationale for it is like, oh, gold translations and knowledge. They were seeking knowledge. Oh.
Yeah, well, I'll get to that later on. But the point is, like, El Dorado is such an interesting location. I don't know. I'm mainly speaking from the animated film, which I do love a lot. But
Road to El Dorado, we need to talk about that sometime. That is nobody ever talks about that movie anymore.
I love that film so much. Anyway,
let's make a date. Let's plan on that. I would love to do a retrospective on that. Anyways.
The point is, El Dorado still is an interesting place that not even counting the film. That could have been serviced a lot better than was in this film. Again, assuming that was El Dorado, which I'm pretty sure they're implying it is.
So I do love Marshall College. Of course, Marshall College, named after producer Frank Marshall, who put a lot of effort into kind of like overseeing the detail of how this college has evolved in 20 years since we saw it in Raiders.
Yeah.
And kind of like the culture of the campus.
The Letterman jackets.
Yeah, right. But not just the jackets, but just kind of like the whole how the students are socializing. Like Marshall really took a hands-on approach to crafting the college in this movie. That was kind of like one of his main things he did was all the college stuff.
He did?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know he had. I thought it was like a little tribute to him. I didn't know.
No. Marshall himself was very hands-on about the whole Marshall University thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Wanting to kind of craft like a 20-year history from Raiders to this movie about how Marshall College would have evolved.
Cool.
Do I look like a mailman?
He does. Mutt Williams does have a few really good lines where he says like, "Oh, you're a teacher. That's helpful."
And of course, set up for "You're a teacher, part-time."
Now we'll get to that. They kind of botched that one. This is a great. Again, this is such a great
college. Yeah.
This is such a great. The fact that we have greasers and we have the varsity football guys.
Oh,
that's awesome.
I forgot all about this.
And that's a George Lucas special from
Absolutely.
Graffiti. Love
this is wonderful. This is like a high point of the film.
I also get like a little hint of Back to the Future just running out of a place and
I almost feel like this chase scene kind of measures up to any chase scene in any of the other movies to a certain extent.
Well, I don't know. It's not. We had the tank and we had the trucks. I mean, that's
okay. The tank and the truck are kind of certain exceptions. I mean, those were like on a grand scale.
I mean, this could measure up to the Shanghai chase, possibly.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Something
this
like that.
This is one. I would argue this is the best part of the film. Though.
This is the best scene in the film, I'd say. Yes.
As much as I defend the nuclear fridge, but this is absolutely the best scene in the film.
The guy in the gray hat reminds me of Tom Hanks and Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah, a little bit.
Kind of is. It'd be
But yeah,
interesting
this
to
is
see-
such a fun sequence. You're on a motorcycle, he's getting pulled into the car, he's beating the crap out of these guys. And
Again, Harrison Ford really holds his own. You know, he's really sticking up for himself in the fights.
even impresses Mutt.
Going
later
in and out of cars.
Yeah. I feel there's this bit I completely forgot about rewatching coming up where they go through the college campus. They do like, hey, there's some logic issues, but you don't care because it's so good at this point. Where all the students are protesting like Red Scare and like better.
I'm gonna have a mirror that shot with the '60s protest for Vietnam.
I mean, the point is like them on the campus. It makes sense. People protest all sorts of things on the college campus, and I love this bit. I completely missed out on where they direct the KGB guys into the Marcus Brody statue. I completely forgot it was a Marcus Brody statue.
Yes,
and you'll
the Brody
notice that.
statue. Yes,
Look at this. You're going to see Indy give like such a pissed off look at Mutt Williams. Like, you just burned. When it happens, just watch the look that Mutt Williams is proud of himself from. It's kind of like a moment from The Last Crusade, honestly. The whole like, you proud of me, Dad? Sort of moment, even though he doesn't know at this point. But you know what I mean? It's like sort of like, I did good, didn't I? No, you didn't. How pissed off Indiana Jones is. Man, the production design is so good in this on college campus.
Yeah.
All the 50s stuff in the small town looks fantastic.
Like I said, all the college stuff is pretty much Frank Marshall.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, no, not Marcus Brody.
Watch this right here. Seriously, I feel bad for that Marcus Brody statue. Like, oh, come on. The man has died. But this coming up, though, this is probably one of the most impressive kind of stunts in the film. I'm just saying that because I really like it. I think it's really cool where they drive inside the library and just kind of slide under all the desks in this row here.
Yeah,
really cool. Looks so wonderfully practical too. I know it's not.
What?
So great. And of course, I love that at Indy's core, he's always a professor over an archaeologist where he's such a hit at this college. People ask him questions. He's more than willing to give an educational answer.
Like, there's absolutely no question about the bike that just ran into this kid. It's just like, Dr. Jones, now that I've got your attention, please just answer my question because you're so awesome.
This is great though. Again, I love he's so committed to the job.
If you want to be an archaeologist,
You gotta get out of the library.
Which is kind of the opposite of what he said in one of his previous movies.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you do research, but it's still like research out, on the job research too. A little bit of both.
And it's all downhill from here, people. It's all downhill from here.
Really, you got a big issue when they go to well, not deep in the Amazon, but like around the two of them are exploring in Peru.
No, I don't have a big issue with it, but it's not as strong as what that was.
But I'm just saying, usually after that's when things start to go downhill. But I mean, you're right. You're right. It's not as strong. You're right. Sorry.
It's just a slow, gradual downward spiral after that.
And again, look, just linking the gods to aliens thing here. The idea that aliens were looked to as gods by these ancient civilizations. That's a gamble. It's not lethal. It doesn't really kill the idea of curse. Again, just later on, there's a point where they're gonna go too far with the crystal skull thing and explaining it. Where just it gets too muddied, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's like so far I'm still investing. Okay, I can buy it. I'm sorry, so they're kind of fleshing out the whole crystal skull thing here, like what Ox was looking into.
Yeah.
I do like how they include the Nazca lines into this.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm talking about. It's like they're kind of fleshing out stuff we've either seen or kind of heard of before. It's like things that have been in the consciousness.
Because those things actually do exist.
I'm kind of surprised that Roswell is never brought up in this movie.
Well, no, the alien was from Roswell, Tiki.
Oh, was it? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're covering, they're setting things up really well in the beginning there with the alien plot. It's
Traveling by map, yay!
yeah, that's a good one.
Very, very nice to see that on the big screen for the first time, I remember.
Why the heck does he bring his bike? That's the dumbest thing in this movie. Why does he bring his bike? I'm sorry, that's a bold statement. I mean, it's one of the dumbest things. They have a hat.
I think Indy's asking the same question here.
And again, he leaves it too, and he says, "I left my bike." He says, "Well, how are you? You okay?" "I left my bike." It's so. I mean, defend Mutt Williams as you will.
Confiscated by Russians.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Tiki, defend Mutt Williams, but his in terms of his character, his performance is fun, but his characterization at times is off, like stuff like that. It's such a dumb movie. You care about your bike so much.
I do like this little bit right here where he's flipping the knife, though.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm just saying, why bring a bike? Look at this. I mean, you're going to be going literally in this scene. Just kind of walk off and leave the bike in the middle of town here for a moment.
Yeah. I don't have a big problem with it.
All people have to do is just, they don't have to gas it up, they just need to, you know, take it and pull it. I don't even think it's chained up or anything, just people just abscond with it. Like right now behind his back, absconded. Sounds like they're recounting something from the Young Indiana Jones things with the whole Pancho Villa.
Yeah, I would say probably.
I really wonder how that show holds up, because it sounds really good. Again, it kind of sounds like the direction Gotham should take, honestly. But Young Indiana Jones does sound really impressive. It was a really short run. It ran for like 23 episodes and 4 movies, TV movies.
I've heard, like, pretty much some episodes are better than others.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, again, I haven't watched them, so I can't tell you. But, it sounds like it has credentials.
So, I don't know, it's like at this point in the movie, they're kind of treading over some familiar territory, but it just doesn't have the same kind of magic. Like here, they're kind of wandering through the marketplace and everything like that, but it's just not as kinetic as stuff that we've seen in the past.
Like, we don't have, like, the excellent stuff where, like, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, you had Indy and Marion kind of really having this such a cute, awesome dynamic together. We're saying, oh, look, they're saying the monkey's their baby.
I mean, I hate to say it, but at this point in the movie, it kind of just becomes a big exposition dump to a certain extent.
Yeah, like, the main exposition in that scene is like, oh, yeah, I took fencing lessons, that sort of
Right!
Why would he wear a fedora? Like, he sticks out like a sore thumb.
You're asking why he's wearing a fedora, but Indy's wearing one.
Well, I know, but the other, I mean, Indy could spot him out amongst all those other Mexicans. I mean,
because he's a poor character. That's why, Sandy. Because he's a poor character.
Well, you guys really didn't complain when Brody did that.
Well, because he's supposed to stick out like a sore thumb, right?
So is he.
no,
No, he's not supposed to stick
guy
out. He's supposed to not arouse suspicion from Indy.
Hey, you guys are really putting a lot of double standards here.
It's not double. Marcus Brody is kind of, he has no fieldwork experience, and he was like, on a spur of the moment, I'm gonna prank all my fanciest stuff, so I have my fedora hat. Brody's supposed to be a spy. He's supposed to be a good spy. It's went on like 20 or 30 missions with Indiana Jones. Anyway, sorry. No harp on that.
I thought this was supposed to be a safe space.
Well, I said temporarily.
Temporarily.
I said for a time. I said for now it was a safe space.
Do you guys like the idea of the 2 different styles of skulls?
Well, I mean, that kind of ties into my problem, Tiki, is that we just don't stick to one skull, which would probably be... I know there's, like, many skulls. I'm just saying, like, one style of skull. It's like one alien race of skull.
So why is he crying here?
What?
Why is Mutt Williams crying?
I don't...
Because Ox was his friend, it was almost like a father to him.
Yeah, Ox was like a father figure.
Oh, okay, alright. I can't really hear it. I'm reading his subtitles, and sometimes I don't catch those.
I don't see it here, but because I missed the tear. But yeah, it was like he was the one who raised them, essentially, kind of, right? He was like the father.
Mm-hmm. I see.
And like I said, it's just kind of like more exposition.
I mean, let me say this with their dynamic, though. I do like that this scene and going into the next scene, too, when they're kind of in the grave robbing scene. I know not because actually grave robbing, it's kind of the... seems like we're grave robbing scene.
Yeah.
I like kind of the student mentor dynamic. He's kind of bonding with Mutt Williams here, saying, "Well, you don't have to go. You don't have to go to school. I'm not saying there's any problem with that. Again, which is going to be hilariously reversed later on. But
I really like when Indy's like when Mutt Williams is talking about how he wants to repair bikes, and he's like, "Want to do that for the rest of your life?" Yeah. Do you have a problem with that? No, not if that's what you enjoy doing. I really like that.
That's what I'm saying to you.
And like you said, it's great setup for the payoff, which we get the reveal.
Yeah, I just love the dynamic from that point forward, where Mutt Williams has earned kind of respect for Indy here, and from that point forward, it's kind of like you can see a lot of the. It's kind of like I don't want to spoil it if I tell you what it's like, but my point is I like that it's kind of a mentor-student thing almost, like kind of the reluctant student actually being mentored by someone he has admiration for. A building admiration until he ultimately finds out, I'm related to him.
I like the shot here.
It's a nice set here. I like it.
Yeah.
Just the lightning and everything just makes it all pretty nice.
It does kind of bug me that we're having. I feel like there's a lot of they're trying to recapture the Jovitos people from Raise the Lost Ark, because we have like
and
two
I
separate.
think that's probably like the main issue with this. Yeah.
That's like the only time I really. That's one of the other stuff is just kind of like little tongue-in-cheek reference, like like kind of little winks to movie scanner, like, hey, there's a reference to the movie. But that one's like the most like we're just really trying to. We just need kind of to fill the screen with something, so we're just gonna throw you kind of Jovitos like tribal people in this scene, just give them someone to fight. Like, you don't need that. Just one. Most importantly, in this scene goes on a lot longer than it should. It does. It's good stuff. The two of them bonding. I like that, but I do think, especially later on when they're kind of going, they're like using the knife to open the little kind of cocoon that guy's like remained in for 500 years.
I guess they could have hid from showing those guys, like until a bit later.
Yeah, or at least do one. Not that they do this trick twice. That's what really bugs me. We have two like hidden people in the corners.
Yeah, I guess like I said, they could have revealed them just a bit later. Just like build up the suspense that something's there instead of just it's like, oh look, there's someone here.
Exactly. Save the second one. Don't do it the first time.
Yeah, like I said, that's one fault I will give this movie so far.
And coming up here, this whole like the only time Indy draws his gun, by the way, which bugs the crap out of me, he loses his gun and he just doesn't have for the rest of the movie. But it's coming up, but it's like again the only potential kill Indiana Jones makes in the movie, like the.
Well, that is definitely a kill, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah.
So right here, he draws his gun, he doesn't even fire. It's the only time you're going to see that gun in the movie, his personal gun. Now, right here, when he says part-time, there's a better take of this in the trailer.
In the trailer, yeah. Part-time.
There's a little more kind of like, wistful, like, part-time. A little more
part-time.
A little more proud of himself, and it was really, really cool, really uplifting. I mean, there's a difference. I think just the editing in this movie, there are points in this movie that could have been edited better. Again, like I mentioned earlier with the whole, like, don't reveal the gun thing.
Sure.
I'm just tying into one of those. Really.
I like this dynamic. What are you doing? Stop playing with that. Dude. Give me a like, goddammit. Do you realize that we're covered in cobwebs? What could you possibly care about your hair in a moment like this?
Yeah, it's a thing.
He's a greaser.
Just a thing.
That's what he does.
That eye shot's really good with the the lighting just on his eyes.
Oh,
yeah.
And again, I just think all of this goes on way too long, though.
What time stamp are you at, Dragon?
47. I'm at 47:20.
Well, now I'm at 47:32.
All right.
10
What about you, Sandy? Where are you?
I'm right with you then.
That's the thing. I think he and I are synced up.
I'm like 10 seconds behind you somehow.
I think I'm like 1 or 2 seconds behind you guys.
I'm like 47:40 now.
Yeah, well, you're definitely 10 seconds off. It's a firm 10 seconds. But let's not dwell on the. I like. Yeah. What do you guys think of the Scorpions?
They're okay.
Would you have liked them to be replace the ants, or do you just kind of like the way we kind of ended up with? Like,
no, I really like the ants.
Yeah, I kind of like that. You think they kind of spoil? Like, would you have liked to see Scorpions in the new Indiana Jones as the creepy crawly of choice, or do you think it's fine just using both?
I mean, I think it's fine using both. I think the ants is I think the Scorpions is kind of the appetizer, and the ants is the main course.
Yeah, I think the Scorpions are more intimidating, though.
No, I don't think so. I think the ants was a really well done sequence. I think that was pretty intense.
I do love the advice he gives them. They're like, the small ones, don't keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
And again, I think there are good bits here. I just think we breathe a little too long on this sequence of kind of like literally right now the whole unveiling of the 500-year-old guy. That's a waste of. That's like doesn't come back at all. It's just a pointless fact.
And the whole depends on who your god is.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that's cool about that is like the whole little knife thing. Well, I don't have to keep borrowing yours, and he doesn't even take that knife, so it's just pointless.
Yeah, but again, it is pretty nice. A good character dynamic with Indy and Mutt, which is pretty much why it's here. So.
Kind of bugs me when Indy doesn't shoot his gun at all in a movie. I mean, I don't know if he was able to shoot his sidearm in Last Crusade. I mean, not that he wasn't able to. I'm saying if he did or not, but because he lost the gun in Temple of Doom. But he had it.
In Temple of Doom, yeah.
But the point is, he had it, and he was like willing to use it. And he pulled it out for a brief moment. And it probably gets confiscated by the Russians, but he doesn't pull up any out to like take a gun from a Russian at some point. You know.
So I think one of the things to give this movie credit for is that they do have a lot of practical sets that are kind of like interesting little ancient traps and stuff like that.
Yeah, like later on, we have the obelisk is a really impressive.
Oh my God! Yes.
We'll get there. Yeah, we do have nice sets, and unfortunately, these are sets that are kind of pointless because just until we find the Crystal Skull, again, they're nice.
I mean, I will say that this movie might be a step beyond the Star Wars prequels, like maybe a small step beyond the Star Wars prequels, just because there is some fun to be had. There are some practical sets. There are some impressive shots. It's not all just
I'll give you
giant
that, yeah.
CG cartoony landscape.
I mean, the only one that has any kind of competition with is probably Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, probably.
And Revenge of the Sith tonally has a lot of really good stuff going on.
Yeah, I would say this one is definitely a solid step above at least Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, especially Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones it's
Attack of the
CG
Clones
Palooza.
is garbage trash.
it's CG Palooza. It's like Clone Troopers as far as the eye can see.
Right.
You get a Clone Trooper, you get a Clone Trooper, and you get a small Clone Trooper.
And he's like, here, hold this.
Yeah.
What timestamp are we on right now?
I'm 51.
54:10.
54:10.
54:10?
Now you're ahead of us. So I'm 51:20.
How did I get ahead? How did I get so ahead of you?
You got ahead.
I'm still like a couple minutes behind.
Now he's doing the knife thing I was telling you. And now he's cutting through the thing. We're going to see like the 500-year-old mummification process. And
like Mr. Plinkett points out, I like the little moment where Indy sarcastically is like, "Don't suppose you got a knife, do ya?"
Yeah.
Okay, now...
51... 50.
Okay, my thing's acting up for some reason.
Well, that's dandy, so...
Dragon, yeah, you're right. There's no real reason to see this kind of like unearthing of the corpse. It doesn't serve any purpose.
It's a cool fun fact, but absolutely not relevant.
Like I said, the only reason why it's even here is because we get a little bit more dynamic with Mutt and Indy.
Is all we need is hold this and find the Crystal Skull. That's all we need in the scene. Hold this and find the Crystal Skull, which they're tied into it. It's right before they find the Crystal Skull. It's even better.
Let me know when you guys get to like 52:20 or something.
52:20? Well, it's past 52:20.
Yeah. I'll tell you when it's at 52:50, alright? Can you get there?
Let's see. Yep. I'm at 53 minutes exactly.
Alright, I'll tell you when it's at 53. Now, there's the death mask thing that was deleted from... They were considering doing a death mask plot in Last Crusade.
Nice.
Now!
Okay. And hopefully I synced up as well, because I was about 5 seconds behind.
It's as close as we're going to get it,
I think so.
Alright.
Alright, so, so I left this gold on the artifacts.
Yeah, it was a bit off.
And yeah, Dragon, I think you're right. Like, the problem with this scene is the pace of it. I mean, it's, like, there's a lot of good stuff going on, but I feel like if certain little beats and moments would have just been left on the cutting room floor, it would have just flowed a little better.
You know, all you need, they walk into this thing, they're starting to get along. Maybe you have a knife bit, but that's all you get. Then you get directly to finding the skull.
And again, like I feel like after the like right when they get on the plane, the whole movie becomes an exposition dump for the rest of the first act, which is a big problem.
And right here, something that bugs me is that again they have a crystal skull right here that Oxley got from the temple. He hid the skull because he was supposed to told him to, whatever. And again, our Russians they have a crystal skull at their disposal, and making it a different crystal skull, I don't know. The fact that
they make the artifact too complicated.
The fact that they have two crystal skulls makes confusing. The fact that, well, differentiating just
it just muddles things.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I know there are different. Technically, in the actual, it's like they're making the actual science thing overdo the actual needs.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like a lot of what's going on right here is just kind of screenplay 101, where it's like it's like show don't tell. The characters shouldn't just be walking around kind of expositing the nature of this stuff. We should be seeing it firsthand. That's what made Raiders work so well. And then, of course, I think, like you said, Dragon, just simplifying it. It didn't matter if there's multiple different crystal skulls in real life. For the purposes of this movie, have one crystal skull that everyone's going after. Having two just kind of it just really muddles everything and makes everything more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think they may have like a one line blink and you miss it moment where it says, well, we have a crystal skull here, but it's like not as good as this other crystal skull. And yeah, it's well, yeah.
And unfortunately, this movie is kind of filled with those annoying one-line blink it you miss it things. Mutt Williams being like an expert sword fighter is another one.
Yeah. And again, they connect it to the knife thing, which is a buy, definitely. It's a buy. Okay, let's go with a knife. It means just go with a sword, right? No, it just go with really close combat. That's what it means.
Oh,
it means he's not necessarily a master fencing guy. And hey, who else is good at fencing and sword play? Hey, our villain. So connect the dots, huh?
Okay.
This is kind of funny, though. The whole hello, Jonesy. Hello, Mac.
So, Mac is still on the same side that he was the last time we saw him, right?
Yeah, Mac is still with the Russians.
Okay, just checking, because I do want to get a solid count of...
That was kind of a lame cutaway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no dialogue or anything there. They just show up and then we cut away.
Well, no, they show up, say, hello, Jonesy.
Yeah, I know. That's it, though.
Yeah.
And
it's a little stereotypical for our Russians. We have to do the little.
This is the first time that Indiana Jones has ever stereotyped a nationality of any
kind.
No,
I'm saying, do we really need to remind them that they're Russians? I think Kate Blanchett has that cover. I don't think we need to show, hey, we're doing...
Oh,
hey,
speaking of which, I really don't... like the whole, thing, well, the way you're sinking into your wubbies, that really didn't land with me, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that over the top Russian dancing.
Wubbies. Fucking Mac.
I love
Mac.
I love the promise in this scene, though, that I'll break your nose when I get out of this chair, comrade. That was great. And I love that pays off. I mean, look, Tiki...
Is Mac in this scene gonna, reveal that he's on Indy's side again?
Well, no, he puts the hint out there that he is, and later on it's revealed, but right now he says the whole, like in Berlin, like in Berlin.
Oh, okay, right.
But the point, Tiki, is... not counting that like in Berlin thing, I mean, look, you keep him on his side, turns him to he's one of the bad guys, and that's all you need to do with Mac. You don't need to overcomplicate him further than that. Okay, you made a big turn in the first act, now he's just kind of an annoying old friend of Indiana Jones.
I mean, I think with Spielberg, he got overly ambitious with Mac because you saw it. He was like, yeah, we want to make this guy the most complicated side character we've ever seen in a movie like this. And yeah, in doing so, they just kind of, again, muddled him.
Honestly, I'll tell you what I think it is, Tiki. I think it's just a draft. I think it's in the writing on that one. Is that people read the script? It's some draft. It seemed like, okay, I get the idea we're going for here, and this actually could be good. A guy switching sides, like a double agent, and then he's against our guys and he's back with our guys, and maybe a few rewrites made it so oh no, then he was lying about it the whole time, which made the whole thing. Maybe again, it was maybe we don't know when the interview was shot. Maybe it was before the script got screwed up, perhaps.
Right.
With details like that, I don't know. I can't place it, but you might be.
So I think this is probably Kate Blanchett's strongest scene.
Yeah, again, Tiki, the idea of... again, I like how it's kind of ground something, because in real life, Stalin did have an interest in psychic warfare, and again, so in actual fact, they were kind of playing...
Just like Hitler had an interest in the occult.
Certainly, I love that idea of, okay, well, Stalin had his thing and Hitler had his obsession. They both have, the little quirks in their little kind of pursuits, and, Stalin was kind of cutting edge... in the science of things, in the weaponry of the science, or Hitler was more so kind of the implications of science and just
sure.
mission. And again, Tiki, this is gonna sound weird, and this is gonna sound weird because especially you and Sandy, since we did the Temple of Doom thing. But it's strange that even though it's when she's about to rig him up with the machine here, put the thing on his head and you kind of make him face the Crystal Skull. Even though the psychic idea really doesn't make sense for Spalko's purpose in this film for her for getting an interpreter, basically her to interpret Oxley stuff. It makes no sense what she's doing right here, basically having him, because again, she can get all the. He's not going to be able to interpret all because you're risking him turning his mind into mush. First of all,
exactly.
Second of all, I mean, what's two guys who are not going to be able to? He's not in points. He's not going to be able to interpret. The fact is, even though the plan doesn't make sense, I kind of buy into the pseudoscience more than kind of this dark black magic mind control.
Yeah, I'm with you, and like I said, this is why this scene kind of lands with me more than a lot of her other stuff does.
Yeah.
I think she's a good presence in this scene. I think she has a good dynamic with Indy. She's genuinely kind of intimidating. I like how she's got Indy in a vulnerable position.
I just wish the writing was stronger on it, though, because, again, the plan doesn't make sense. Because you have one guy who was going to supposedly lead you to the...
Fucking Oxley, man. Oxley is another, black mark against this movie for me.
Here's the thing. Here's the tragedy about Oxley, Tiki. Honestly, he's played by such a good actor.
I know, exactly. That's what pisses me off about him so much.
Hey, Professor Broom from the Hellboy movies. This guy was great.
Right?
It's... Yeah...
And the thing is, I understand what they're going for, and it could have been interesting. We've never really seen a character like this before, where it's a character who's kind of been affected. Okay, Jacob, Oxley is totally like McGucket from Gravity Falls, correct?
Pretty much.
It's the same basic idea. It's like it's someone who's gone crazy after witnessing something that he just can't explain, and he's kind of had his mind blown by it.
Basically.
But it's like everything else in this movie that we're kind of been nitpicking about, it's all in the execution. I think it's a good idea. It's not something we've really seen before in an indie movie, and it makes sense that someone who's been exposed to an artifact like this would have kind of a mental repercussions, but they just play it in such a cartoony, doofus way.
Yeah, you have three elements. It's in the 50s, you got sci-fi, and you got Russians, all of which make sense for the time. All of which perfectly makes sense logically. That's what you would do if you were doing Indiana Jones film now, if you're going to set it, years later.
Right.
And again, on paper and just in plotting, it all sounds excellent. Excellent. That's exactly what you should do. It's logically what would happen, but it's not translating well. Also, I remember the throwaway line was the dumb throwaway BS line for the alien excuse is like a distant cousin, perhaps.
Oh God, yeah.
Again, I can buy into that. Probably, as odd as it sounds, I can buy into this more because again, there's some pseudoscience. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's still. I can buy into the pseudoscience more, just kind of random black magic, blood drinking stuff that turns him into a brainwashed mind control guy because it doesn't even work on him. Because again, this whole idea of kind of showing Indiana Jones the skull is pointless too. Because I'll tell you what, rewatching, I kind of discovered this. The only reason they do this, Tiki, the only reason he looks into the skull is so at the end he can. So at the end he has this one line where he says, I'll have it later on if I don't have it now. But basically, it's for one line in the ending. That's the only reason he has this line, so he can communicate this one thing of the aliens.
Right. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. Basically, Indy's just like, oh, we have to go up there, and I have to put it back because it told me to. Right? Is that what you're talking about?
It connects to that. There's that line. There's a real, actual one line he needs to say, and that's the only thing that makes sense. But you're right. It's pretty much as pointless as that. It's like it told me to.
You betrayed Shiva.
Yeah, man, I'll give that one that though. You betrayed Shiva is a much better payoff though.
Yeah, Oxley, there's certain things there's certain moments where I get where they're going for with him, but there's just there's a big moment with him that I just genuinely don't like, and that's just kind of a groaner, but we'll get to that a little later.
Yeah.
And here we're gonna.
What he said, he broke his nose.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, I think the line. We'll see how it goes later on. I think the line is like they're mentioning all the crystal skull aliens needed to be in alignment or something. He's pretty much saying like, they've been waiting here for so many years for this reason. That's pretty much the only reason he sees the skull, just so he can know that one fact at the end.
Yeah.
And again, this is a cool bit from Mutt Williams. Where he's like, "I'm ready to die." He's playing the bluff really cool, and it's, in indie respects, this is well, you heard
and
the
guys. I've got to admit, Marion in this movie was kind of a pleasant surprise for me rewatching it. I think a lot of her charm from Raiders was kind of recaptured, more than I thought it was.
Well, it's not as much as I would have liked it, but I think she's solid though.
I think this intro scene is great. I think this intro scene is definitely like, with this intro, it's the Marion we know and love. I love Indy's reaction to her. I love this.
I love the whole Indiana.
She is kind of a breath of fresh air, isn't she?
Yes.
And it's like we've been waiting so long to see her, and it's like even if writing was why she doesn't get the most to do in this movie, it's just great that she's there. It's great that she's still feisty. I don't know. Like, I will admit she is a little underwhelming. I wish she had more to do. But having said that, I just like having her there to begin with.
Well, here's a reason I think the writing on Marion and Indy, their dynamic is still pretty strong in this film. I mean, when they do have some interactions, Lawrence Kasdan, he was conferred. David Koepp, he conferred with Lawrence Kasdan, who did not write any drafts of this film. Pretty much, he ran the dialogue by Kasdan got some pointers on like how to write kind of the Indy Marion scenes, and that's why they're really. Like, there's an excellent bit where the whole like. They all had one problem. They weren't you, honey. I love that line.
Just oh my god.
That's a Kasdan special. You know Kasdan had a lot of influence on that one.
Might be the single greatest line in the whole movie.
And again, this is what I'm loving about this movie, Tiki. In places, I just love Indy being kind of pigeonholed by the Russians and being helpful to him. And he kind of gets wrapped up in it because he's such a fan of archaeology.
Yeah, it's something that people have criticized, but Drake and I kind of more take your stance on it in that Indy, he is kind of like in a helpless situation. He wants to protect Marion. He wants to protect Mutt. And, he is more going along with it just because he genuinely wants to see how the mystery plays out.
He's very much his father's son in that regard. He has an obsession with the certain
Ironically enough, it's kind of like, it's almost vaguely similar to the situation that Connery's in at the beginning of Last Crusade, where he's kidnapped by the Nazis, but he's almost like a willing participant at that.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. That's
what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
No, seriously, I think we were uncovering some kind of hidden gems in this movie, guys. I'm pleased with this discussion so far.
And
we're doing our own archaeology.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a nice moment with Mutt Williams here and Marion here, is kind of they're checking in with their old buddy Ox. And again, I wish we invested more in Ox, but still, it's a nice little moment to just kind of like. You see these two definitely care about, especially.
And again, like Shia, man, he gives it his all. He really does try with the emotional stuff with Ox, I think.
I just wish the lad hadn't lost his mind. And
Give him time, Dragon. He's coming back. I think Shia's gonna make a resurgence.
And he's coming back like syphilis.
Oh God. Oh come on. That's mean. Have you seen Fury?
No, I haven't seen Fury.
Fury, okay. Fury is his comeback, alright?
Alright, it's his comeback where he really removes a tooth just to get in character.
Oh my god.
But again, this is all good stuff here, just getting so wrapped up. And Mutt's the one who kind of snaps him out of it, saying, well, we need to escape. And Indy's not arguing with him like the escape. He is griping with him about what was the plan here exactly.
Right.
And again, this scene kind of is fun. I don't like the button at the end of it though, where like the whole get help thing. Well, of course, who else was he supposed to get help from? Indy.
It just like I honestly just don't think Ox should have been there to begin with because it just makes Ox look like an idiot.
And no, here's the thing. We did exactly what Indy told him to, though. What else was he supposed to do?
Yeah, it kind of makes both of them seem like idiots.
That's what I'm saying. That's the problem. Aside from that, it's a really great scene.
Also, we're not at the sand trap already, are we?
No. I'm sorry.
Okay, good, because you kind of scared me for a second.
No, they're running.
I just hope we can expect an Indiana Jones theme somewhere here, somewhere soon.
No, don't worry. There's going to be some themes, Indiana Jones theme coming up. A few times, actually.
And I've got to say, some of the original John Williams compositions are pretty decent in this movie.
And again, I love the initial one, though, where he kind of gets out of the car and we hear it again after all these years.
Oh, God.
Again, this is one of my favorite parts of the movie, too, with Indy specifically. I love it when he says he's bracing to a lecture right now. It's so over the moon, explaining to Mutt Williams, what the whole... Actually, it's not a sand, it's a dry sand. Just while she's panicking in the background.
It's great.
And again, she's just so frustrated.
Oh,
We're not in school, Indy.
And like I said, that is like the magic of Marion and Indy that we miss from Raiders, right there.
Yes, you're right, and that's again, jeez, Karen Allen's doing a good job in this movie. That's good points there. I
think a lot of people just kind of write Karen Allen off, saying like she had nothing to do, but there are moments where it does kind of relive the magic.
It's less about what she does; it's more about what she brings. She brings kind of that. She brings a great sense of not only nostalgia, but a great sense of kind of like why, or memory of why you fell in love with it.
And Dragon, I will admit, I do agree with you that like the whole bit at the end where they get married, it could have been built up a little more throughout the movie.
Yeah,
could have been built up, and I don't even think you need it really necessarily.
Hey, this is a fun scene. It's just such a hectic scene where then she drops the whole "he's your son."
Right.
Henry Jones III.
Oh, God.
I love him again. Indiana Jones, he loves being a professor so much. He's just so school obsessed. He just says, "Why did you make him finish school?"
And after the whole like, you can do whatever you want. Doesn't matter if you don't do school. And I was like,
and this snake thing is hysterical.
Okay, I have a major plot hole with this though.
I know the snake would rip. All right, we get it.
No, I don't even care about that. Turn the snake around. Have Indy grab the tail instead of the head. That would make it a lot easier.
Well, I don't know. He still might be creeped out by the fact.
No. Seriously, I'm being dead serious. The fucking snake head is what's bothering him. Turn the snake around. Have it be the tail. Seriously, it's that easy.
That's how much control he has over this thing.
I honestly don't buy that. Just saying like, oh, Indy, it's a rope. Just pretend it's a rope. I don't buy that either.
Tiki, come on, the man's in absolute terror. Okay, it's anything you can have to catch on to. It's a brief.
You don't understand basic psychology.
Fair enough.
It's a momentary distraction, so we can not die. All right, give it a pass.
And if you notice, it's a rat snake.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm more just ranting about the fact that they should have just turned it over and had Indy grab the tail instead of the
rat
head.
snake, a bit of Last Crusade in there.
To me, that's just another needless complaint.
Yeah, fair enough. Help.
Hang on, this help thing, Indy. What did you expect him to do?
Honestly.
Instead of asking to get help, Indy should have just said like, "Ox, find a stick or something."
Someone grab Ox's legs. Ox, pull us in. Pull us in.
Well, as you guys pointed out, panic situation.
Okay, and here we kind of get into the over CG. It's like, I feel like this is kind of the cue for the over CG right here.
This is probably the most I don't know, it might be the most CG scene in the movie.
Having said that, still good character stuff with Mutt, Indy, and Marion right here.
I'm saying everything when they get out of the little kind of back here, that's when it kind of goes down.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's when it gets. I'll tell you what.
The chase scene that this scene builds up to is definitely the most over-the-top part of the movie as a whole. But I still like all the character stuff that we're getting.
I love their argument. By the way, I love the fact I'm pretty sure this is the same kind of muscle Russian guy he was fighting with earlier on, which makes
it is, yes.
So again, I love that the whole. A part of me thinks we get a little bit too much information, like he blew off the wedding a week before, but that's them trying to set up the wedding thing at the end. So I don't know how mad I can be at that. Well, not mad, but you know how if I can really hold that against him.
I love this German guy here.
Russian.
Just shut the hell up.
It's Russian.
Yeah.
Russian. Yeah. What did I say? What did I say?
German.
Oh, sorry.
Different movie.
You know, not all
European
people are like Sandy. Not all Europeans are Nazis. I'm just kidding.
I got news for you. You're going back to school.
What happened?
The gag back in her mouth.
I love her with the gag in the mouth because it harkens back to Raiders, and it's
classic.
It's
Yes,
just her
yes.
like still being. You can still hear her clear as day through that gag. I love that. Just love them all just kind of kicking the crap out of just rushing.
Mutt
This guy
steps in
takes a
the hills.
beating in this movie.
This bit right here, this is my problem with the editing and stuff. Some bits that they're kind of pointlessly in there, like this whole like you hear the rip and the whole like kind of the uh-oh moment where
Yeah.
just nothing comes of this. You know, did he
Yeah,
split
I
pants? Did he
never
cut
got
himself?
that. I never understood. Is it supposed to be like he ripped his pants with a knife or what?
I thought it was like he went into him or something. Like, oh god.
I agree.
And again, here's the fantastic kind of Kazdan okayed line right here.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there are a few women movies which we've seen in the movies, but they all have the same problem. They weren't you, honey. And then this when the score comes in. The Marion indie thing.
Yes, and even in the midnight screening when people were somewhat deflated by this point, they still applauded when that line came up.
Honestly, it's one of the best performance moments in this film.
Her classic smile.
Yeah. Now, and unfortunately, while we have a great moment of Raiders recapture, we have another moment of Raiders that it's kind of opposite day with it. It's, this is them trying to recapture the magic of specifically the truck chase from Raiders, but also the truck / kind of a next action sequence like the tank, or maybe it's the minecarts kind of. No, I don't want to even drag Temple of Doom in this. My point is, the truck scene or the tank scene. This is just all the CG and all the easily practical stuff you can do. They drive through actual jungle during some of this scene.
I know, right? That's what bothers me about it.
Can I say something here?
Bazooka, though, that's pretty cool.
Yes, Eddie?
I thought I remembered you saying before, I think this was on the Star Wars Force Awakens podcast, that Princess Leia in Force Awakens was kind of like Marion in Indiana Jones in the Crystal Skull. Which I felt like you were kind of getting at, like Marion wasn't really necessary, which I think it was because
you know what? I'll take that back. I actually think Marion in this movie.
He's been with all these different women over the years, and it's nice to see him come back to who he actually is meant for.
And I will say that
Serious.
Marion in this movie probably has a stronger presence than Princess Leia does in Force Awakens.
Oh yeah, I guess. Heck, I think her presence is a lot stronger than Willie or what's her name, Elsa.
I would say so too. Yeah. I mean, Willie, absolutely. Like, no question. At all.
I mean, again, does she trump other... Well, she doesn't trump other Marion. She doesn't trump younger Marion.
Well, no.
I'm saying that because she had the most kind of fun stuff to do, the whole knocking a guy with a frying pan and all, like, the whole drinking contest. And again, it's in comparison, it's not a fair comparison, I'm just pointing it out. But I like the vehicle design, though. I do like kind of the boat thing they're driving in.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's a good payoff down the line.
It does really bug me that they don't use like the turret guns, and this I'm not the one who's like kind of pointing this out before, but I'm just the turret guns on the front of these vehicles at various points during a fight, with the exception of our bad guy who uses it to great effect on Marion. They don't use this to take him out.
Right.
Like literally, there'd be a point where a spout goes in front of her, like not like right in front of the car, but like driving in front of another car, where pull a Batman v Superman on her and she's dead.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jonesy! Now he's turn, Tiki, so this is turn number 2.
Okay, turn number 2.
He's all happy to go, Jonesy! And I do love when Indiana Jones so ticked off at him, says, Mac? Hi, Mac. That is pretty good. That's a good little... I think it's just our sentiment on Mac in general. It's like, hi, Mac.
Right.
It really does boil down our feelings on together. Like, hey, I'm switching sides. Nope.
I don't know. It bugs me that Oxley just has like the dumbfounded kind of deer in headlights look on his face the whole movie.
It's wasting such a good actor.
It's like they could have done so much more with his performance. They could have directed it so much better.
Kind of the same thing with Cate Blanchett with the sword things. Like it's that they had to give her a shtick so she had something to do in a fight. It all feels kind of contrived to get her and Mutt Williams to have a sword fight. And again, just overall with that, and just kind of a lot of the kind of fake surroundings. It feels like overcrowded, and you're not really invested in it like you would be the truck scene in Raiders, because it looks so real, it looks so kind of engrossing.
And you're absolutely right. This is pretty much supposed to be that.
Just they're crowding the frame versus you can have just nothing around them. Like in Last Crusade, it's pretty much a desert area where there's just a tank and horses, and that was enough.
And that scene is one of the best chase scenes in all of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, more than just the CG sword.
Oh God, yeah. This
give
is
them
the point
lightsabers.
where it's just like
just give them lightsabers.
Pretty much. Okay, Marion kind of tutoring him is funny, though.
Yeah, it's funny, but again,
I like that. I can't take that away from it.
But I mean, then we have like Mutt Williams needing the balls a few times here, when he's...
Which I admit, as soon as I saw that in the theater, I was like, really, fucking really.
Yeah, and again, they also, I don't know what the obsession is to you. The camera keeps going to Mutt Williams' crotch in this movie. Seriously, there was the scorpion scene, and then there's this, and then this is like 3 times. He's getting hit in the crotch.
Yeah.
Do we really need that?
Oh, poor Marion.
Yeah, poor Marion.
Yeah, this is one of the most unnecessary things in the whole movie is this crotch humor right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Why? Just why?
I do kind of like when they switch the realization when she switches cars. That's pretty funny. And I do love that move right there when she's kind of south side. Unfortunately, she has a gun turret, which I'm saying, poor Marion, no. I just wish they use. Honestly, I just wish they're doing what Mutt Williams is doing right now, is hitting people with the skull. I think that'd be.
That would have been a lot better. Yeah.
I would have loved it if Marion had the skull and just whacked Spalko right in the face or something. That would have been awesome.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. Like, look how she's using the gun turret here. Yet when she's about to right now, after she gets once Mutt Williams is off this car, they can just fire upon her and kill him.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying.
Because again, apparently they're afraid of actual main character death in this film. I guess.
I think that's pretty much it.
Like our main guys killing other main guys, they're terrified of that. It's only meeting their own
pretty much the grandfather syndrome.
Right there, shoot her.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
She doesn't even have a sidearm. They can get.
They're like right. It's not like she's like. Oh God.
Here's the worst scene in the film. Can we agree on this the worst scene, or should we say that is it something else?
I don't know, unless you guys have any other contenders. Isn't
the most pointless? Like, you get rid of this, you just save time.
What?
Basically, you get rid of this scene, you save so much time of Mutt Williams kind of pulling a Tarzan thing here.
And this scene is also pretty much like the scene that everyone gives Mutt Williams a lot of crap for. I feel like if you take this out, Mutt Williams would suddenly gain a lot more stock in the overall movie.
Yes, now with his performances, with his
really dumb.
It's like when they show and don't tell. It's for completely pointless reasons, you know.
Yeah.
I do love seeing the old cars here kind of go at it like that, though. It's kind of cool. But again, we see
stuff like this. It's like there are certain elements of this movie where they mix the kind of the old school blue screen, the blue screen action with CG and stuff like that, where it is very effective. But then, like we said, it's just like there are here, it's so over the top. There's no reason why we need all those monkeys. There's just there's no reason for Mutt to just suddenly have a diversion where he needs to swing like Tarzan for 30 seconds and then get right back on the truck. There's absolutely no reason for it whatsoever.
I'll tell you what I would like to see. I would like to see kind of I believe it's Vertigo, the refugee one, the Hitchcock movie where the guy's kind of leading the girl outside the car. A little bit of homage to that here.
Oh, I could see that, yeah.
And again, Spielberg's a big Hitchcock fan, so I'm surprised he didn't do any of that.
Oh, God, why do we need these fucking monkeys?
This scene looks so... looks so...
Because the fans need something to complain about, that's why.
You honestly don't have a problem with them, Jacob?
I'm not saying they're good, I'm just saying there's a lot of needless complaints, like I keep saying.
I really do like that one past, the whole, kind of father looking upon son of, little pride. They're like, whoa.
I'm not saying that...
How are they not dead here? That's my real question. I know they
Yeah.
ducked, but still, that's really close. Come
Okay,
on.
yeah, this is like the first out of many times we'll be asking how are they not dead within the next couple minutes or so.
Oh, wait, never mind. She does have a sidearm, so.
They've done crazier stuff in the Blast movies.
Okay, yeah, but this ant thing, I love the ants. I got to admit.
Thank him to the rescue.
The ants, I think this might be, it's not the most well-done set piece, but it might be the most creative set piece in the whole movie.
I do love the
I think
homage.
it's one of the most memorable too.
Yeah.
Like the
love
whole
the
scene in general. I mean, sorry.
I'm a
Dragon.
big fan of this. I mean, there might be, it's still kind of like a little over CG, but I think it's a good use of CG with the ants, and you can't really do it any other way, so...
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I'll take the CG ants, because again, there's not a lot of ways around that, because ants are really hard to train and wrangle.
Sure.
Especially big ants, too. Big ants are hard. Anyway, so, this scene's great here. You know, the throwback to the class. This is one of those scenes that shows you Harrison Ford still got it. It's a really great
Absolutely.
scene where it's
Absolutely.
a real kind of gritty, kind of knuckles down, drag out fight, and it's in the classic vein of the old Indiana Jones films, and it's a great scene. But again, it's in the midst of all this other stuff going on, but you only really care about the main fight going on there.
Right. Yeah, this is kind of where the point where Marion is just kind of the driver at this point.
I'll tell you what I think would have been better if Indy was like, during this fight, like the skull just kept. If we didn't have Oxley in this scene, the Crisco was going from place to place and making these ants surround in different patterns.
Well, that would be interesting, right?
Basically, it's like maybe he hits the guy with the skull at some point and you back and forth. I don't know.
This guy here.
Oh my god, I love it, man. I love it.
It's like Ant-Man is a horror movie.
I kind of feel bad for that guy.
I feel bad for the guy Indy's fighting.
I also love the music. I think this is probably one of the better original Williams compositions in the movie.
Yeah. Again, it's going back to old school Indiana Jones, which is pretty, for a scene, you know, for a moment.
Old school Indiana Jones, but with a touch of new technology with the ants. It's kind of old.
Yeah, and again, it's like welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
if I do recall, this is also one of the scenes a lot of people complain about.
Why do they complain about this?
Yeah, I don't think any of us are complaining about it at all.
Not you guys, but I've seen other people say like the ants are like terrible, blah 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 blah.
The only thing I'll give you is that I'll admit, I think the stack. If I hadn't seen Ant-Man, I would say
I don't have a problem with it.
If I hadn't seen Ant-Man, I wouldn't buy into the stacking thing. But after seeing Ant-Man, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's still one thing a lot of people do complain about. I mean, like it's just like they're just those fans that like to complain about every little thing, like find whatever reason they can to say it's terrible.
Yeah.
And this is good. You're just hitting with the stick. It's really just kind of use your surroundings type fight. I mean, the only thing that I can really even just as any minor like I don't really care about this sort of gripe is like the hat's a little convenient, but it's an awesome hat bit. So
I like the crazy
I would count this as a kill as well. I would pretty much count this as a kill.
Well, he punched him. He didn't know he was going to be killed by ants.
Well, I mean, but what does he expect though? He's going to get knocked out, and there's a pool of ants.
Oh, look at this guy! Oh,
I love it. I love it.
That's gruesome.
I feel like that is pretty much the equivalent of like the Jurassic World pterodactyl death.
Yep, ants biting you with these painful
and then just dragging you down into a hole.
I mean,
they're crawling in your insides, like by the masses.
And the only thing is, it's a little convenient with the hat, but that's nothing to complain about.
Well, he's carrying the skull. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying the fact that the hat just is randomly there.
Yeah.
He just like stops at that. Well, you're right. I'm sorry, T. Actually, you're absolutely right. He was carrying the skull, so absolutely it's scattered. Yeah, sure. So again, nothing wrong with that scene.
No, I think that scene is probably, like I said, I think the best executed scene is definitely the college chase, but I think the fire ant scene is the most creative scene in the film.
Yeah. And again, I like this concept, but again. It kind of goes a little much on like how they're surviving.
Oh, it goes way overboard. I mean, it's basically just, this is honestly, like, I think this is worse than the fridge.
Yeah, again, but the fridge is the most memorable, unfortunately.
Yeah, the fridge is at least visually memorable. This is basically just like, it's all cartoony. It's all just very cartoony with the Russians right here.
The tree, the tree in the Russians bit was so fake to me.
Yeah.
I do love this though. I love them kind of riding in the kind of the boat car. You know, it looks really cool.
That's the one element of the scene I don't mind, but you know what this is, Dragon? This is essentially just them trying to top the Temple of Doom thing.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just kind of like, it's derivative of Temple of Doom, and it's going even more overboard than Temple of Doom did. Because you can't really use the argument that it was done in Temple of Doom, because it was done in Temple of Doom, but not with like 3 waterfalls.
Yeah, just kind of trying to go bigger and better with it.
Yeah.
It's not better, that's a problem.
Which, again, is why I think the fridge is better, because at least with the fridge, it's original.
Yeah.
And like, you would have really never thought about the fridge and the whole Indy surviving a nuclear blast. That's just something that doesn't really come to mind, but works within the context of the time period.
Yeah, exactly. It works in that one is visual storytelling. It's telling you it's Indy entering the atomic age. It's visually showing Indy's survived everything now. So it's building up the legend of Indiana Jones. You remember, getting into it now, we get a guy we definitely don't have to worry about until we actually.
They're huge waterfalls. They're like massive, like fucking Niagara Falls style waterfalls.
These ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the fact they keep getting back inside the boat.
Look at this. Look at this shit. No, I don't buy this. I'm sorry, Jacob. I'm sorry.
I do love that.
What are you apologizing to me for?
Well, because you keep saying that it's like people.
That's a great shot, though. That's a practical shot.
Like I said, some nitpicks I understand.
Okay.
That was a very.
But a lot of them, and that one.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like I said, that one I can kind of understand, but like I said, Indiana Jones.
That's a great payoff though for that though, just being so terrified, just holding onto the wheel. It's a great Marion gag.
Like I said, a lot of these nitpicks, some of these nitpicks I can understand. Like the waterfall, I can kind of understand to an extent, but not a lot of these other ones. Either that. Not necessarily that they're bad, but they just complain about them way too much. That's the main issue.
Sure.
Like I said, this entire movie can be summed up by the beginning, making mountains out of molehills.
But I do like the sense of practicality we do get in this in the beginning outside of the temple on this. So we do get a few, like the obelisk, the settings in the caves here are looking pretty good. And again, I don't know if it was either really convincing or if it was like the overhead shot of the waterfalls.
This archaeology stuff is a lot better. It has a lot better pace and flow to it than the stuff in the first act does.
Yeah. Well, when you say first act, you mean
all the stuff with Mutt and Indy with the grave robbing and everything like that.
It feels more relevant to the scene because again, they're literally they're going into the place now.
Yeah, right.
So I love it when they figure out the obelisk and they've taken the sandstones out and stuff. Unfortunately, this is them kind of, I want to say, confirming the whole El Dorado thing.
Yeah.
It just kind of bums me out. But again, it's more as personal. If I can't really hold that's a taste thing, I guess.
And it's a missed opportunity. It's kind of just a bummer, like, darn, now we can't use El Dorado in the future.
Yeah, and look, the reveal with El Dorado, the problem is that's a good reveal, but it's not substantiated because the El Dorado's not the focus at all.
Right.
Seriously, in an El Dorado-centric Indiana Jones movie, that'd be great if, like, the treasure was, was the history instead of the actual gold. That would have been awesome.
Kind of like a National Treasure.
Well, no, it's like there was a mistranslation. That's what they're. Yeah, I guess kind of like a National Treasure. Well, I'm just saying. Wait, when was National Treasure? Was 2005, wasn't it?
National Treasure 2 came out like the same year this did, I think.
Ah, right. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
But I think the first one was 2005. I think they came out the same year as this did. Like 2 movies in the same year is about the City of Gold.
Right. Yeah. Okay, it would have had a slant on it if it's not actually being gold, with being history, but I don't know. It's missed opportunity, nonetheless.
And when I first watched this, I kind of thought that like them putting the shadow on it would open it or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of like those other movies, like putting a shadow, like oh they land a shadow, it'll magically open.
So basically, like the 13 in the circles, like the line's gonna have later on. That's like the only reason you need to see inside the skull.
Yeah.
No, good set design. I gotta give them that good production design.
Reminds me of the temple in Raiders, in the beginning.
Kinda, yeah. But at the end, we have if these were the only guys, I might be able to buy it. But now we have like too many like hidden people in walls and stuff. And how the heck do they get into those walls? I mean, they have like little slots on the top or something.
And,
Well,
like, where did they come from? Like,
But when a mommy wall dweller and a daddy wall dweller love each other very much, they get coffee
no,
one
no,
day.
I mean, like, where do they live? Like, do they live in the wall, or would they just wait there all day for someone to come?
The world may never know.
They're like wait, like somebody coming today? I mean, seriously, we've been waiting here for how long and nobody's showed up.
Write letters to George Lucas and you'll find out.
Like, oh wait, somebody's here, finally.
And again, these are very accurate to El Dorado. These Mayan. El Dorado's, I want to say populated by Mayans/Aztecs is like kind of depending on who your historian is.
There's another scene that reminds me of Pirates of the Caribbean 2 when he's being chased by those natives.
Yeah, definitely.
Except in this case, Pirates 2 actually did come out before this.
And in this case, they're probably ripping off Pirates 2 instead of the other way around.
The whole the way she said Indy was.
Except the only difference is these guys probably aren't cannibals.
Well, yeah,
Well,
sure.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
They're savage.
Indeed.
But then if you think about it, they're ripping off themselves.
They have the Indy thing. It's just, yeah, Indy.
Yeah, I do like the designs of the native people, though. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just as a gadget guy, I really do like the design on the tracking device. I know I'm not supposed to like it given the reveal, but I'm just I do appreciate the design work on that gadget. It looks very kind of 1950s-esque, you know, it's very conspicuous, but it's they weren't planning on that. Okay, here we go. Here's the very practical obelisk. This is an actual Tiki, welcome to the obelisk.
Oh God, you're putting me on the spot.
Yes, don't disappoint.
Well, I mean, I think it kind of speaks for itself. I mean, it's like you would assume when you see this up close, it's CG, but really, this is something that they built. I believe it was at Universal Studios, the backlot at Universal. Dragon, is that correct?
That sounds right. Point is, like this obelisk and from the looks of things when they were shooting, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because you watched the whole bonus feature on this. I hope the obelisk will like have these 4 pillars that will kind of rise up and kind of connect there. That's all practical. It's all giant and really.
Right.
I assume the sand, at least the sand when they're removing the rocks, is real. But the overhead shot when they're looking down,
the backgrounds are definitely added in.
Well, yeah.
Post, of course.
Like when you're looking down, like when the sand's about to drop off, and I think that might be CG. Point, like when they're moving the rocks right now, this is great. And again, you want to bash this guy's head in, but can't. Because you can't directly kill people in this movie. You can only punch them, leading them to their deaths, and point guns at them, but not kill them.
Yeah.
He can blow in the ends of other darts, but he can't shoot anyone, and he can't hurt anyone too badly.
So saying you're not saying much.
Me?
Yeah.
Neither are you.
This would be your scene to say something, Sandy.
I'm just kind of. I haven't seen this movie in a while, and I forget what happens here.
It's a nice little archaeological puzzle they're figuring out here. Okay, well.
Oh yeah, that is pretty cool.
It's all real.
Yep, all real.
This is what they did before video games, kids.
Yeah. You know, before you had those flibberty gibbets called computers and computer chips, you had elbow grease and rock and soup.
Oh God.
Rock soup.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Rock Soup.
Yep.
And hamburger on a stick.
Now in CG, thanks.
Yeah, all this though, all this
extra dimension, extra flavor.
Now this is really cool. I love this. This is like calling back the kind of creativity of Raiders here when they're kind of like running on the platforms that are retracting in the walls here. I mean, I really love the design on this. The idea, okay, you gotta go down a staircase or else you're gonna get impaled. So.
Right.
That's a really cool. Again, so I love this whole obelisk set. And the obelisk is another thing that I don't know if they consider for the other indie films, but it's something that's kind of, it is a kind of an old kind of artifact, new location to go into. It's speculated upon. It's big in Egypt too, I believe. A little different style, but it's more pointed. But anyway, it's hard to remember.
And I do think that South America was a pretty decent choice for a setting in this movie.
Yeah.
And just kind of the Maya culture.
Yeah. I wish they could have committed to El Dorado if they were really going to do El Dorado, but again, that's
that's the thing. If they were going to do El Dorado, they should have just stuck to El Dorado and not had the Crystal Skull thing.
El Dorado is interesting enough. You don't need to
exactly.
Make it the resting place for the Crystal Skull. But I mean, it's the way they went, so we got to live with it.
I guess it is called Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I guess.
Yeah, fair point.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is, like, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull kind of implies that
So El Dorado is the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you're right.
Yeah.
That it belongs there to begin with, like, it's supposed to be there, like, that's what they're going for, not necessarily...
I mean, look, I'll give them this. The lore of El Dorado is the people, particularly the Aztecs, remembering it, that they were misled a lot by people claiming to be gods, which, making the leap that, okay, aliens they look to aliens as gods, so that's why they would worship them, which makes sense, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, if you want to kind of find some logic, I mean, there is logic to be found, I guess, in that.
Yeah.
Well, like I said,
pseudo logic.
Like I said, I was kind of agreeing. I was agreeing with you guys.
Like
I said, I could see why. I mean, like the El Dorado thing and why the skull probably should be there.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see where you're coming from there. After all, it's called Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It kind of implies that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I see they murdered all those natives, I really want her to die. Like.
Well, don't worry, my dear boy. She's going to meet quite a gruesome.
Yeah.
And I look forward to that.
Gruesome. I won't tell you. Let's not tell the lad how she meets her abysmal end.
I mean, I don't think it's as gruesome as the ant death, but.
No, but let's just say she gets everything her heart desires.
Oh, yes, she does.
So, Tiki, just switching the topic over to Shia LaBeouf's performance here. I can see where you're coming from, like where he's not as bad as people make him out to be.
Yeah, he really doesn't have anything that offensive outside of the 30 seconds that he's swinging around with monkeys.
Again, his performance is fine, just his actions at times are questionable. But by the way, I just want to. This passed way back when. I just want to mention there's a great callback to Henry Sr., where Indy said this is intolerable. Just like his father.
Yeah.
I passed way back when during the quicksand scene. I just want to mention it.
That's funny.
This guy's stealing gold. You know he's gonna die. That's how you know.
Oh God.
By the way, who goes for a snake for a rope? I'm sorry, I just want to get that out of my system too. I was wondering who goes for a snake for a rope.
Well, I mean, it could have just been the only thing he could find.
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
I think it's the only thing you could find. Like a tree branch, nothing?
Well, remember the panic situation. I mean,
yeah.
It's long. You can grab it. I'll grab this.
All right, okay.
And the skull here is like the answer to everything. I mean, they run into a plot point where they can't figure out something in the script. Oh, just add in the skull. Just use the skull.
Yeah. Now, I'm not super knowledgeable in the crystal skulls, but I have seen them used in other media. And to my knowledge, like crystal skulls, the point is you get a bunch of them in line together, and you make some really big happens. And I think it's why they're aligned in this room like that. It's kind of based on the alignment theory a little bit.
I mean, to be fair to what you're saying, Sandy, I think that it is basically all tied into magnets.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Which, ironically enough, is the answer to pretty much everything on Lost, too. It all ties into electromagnetism, kids. That's the answer.
I mean, the real reason they're aligned like this is so they can merge into one. But I mean, I think it's kind of based off the idea of when the actual kind of theories and stuff like Crystal Skulls, like you get them all together and like a certain alignment, something happens.
It's a pretty cool set piece, though.
It is. It is cool. It is cool. Yeah.
It's an excellent set.
Very practical.
They kind of look like aliens just sitting there like that.
The skull just kind of looks like a different color than the rest of the skeleton, almost.
I think Indy just had his line of like, this is the only reason he knows stuff about the skulls. No, I just lied about being a double, so I guess that's the third turn, perhaps.
Well, technically he didn't turn at all, he was just lying.
I know, but if you want to count like when he's switching, when he's working with who, you know, if you do it like that, it's 3, but if you're right, though, he's technically 2.
Technically lying the whole time, he was still working with the Russian.
Yep.
Technically only turned... Technically he never turned, because he was working with them from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So technically, 0, if you count... The 0 to... The 0? Yep, 0. So... Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. You guys don't have to be silent anymore.
I don't even know what anyone just said here. So.
Well, let me say this again. This might one of my thesis statements with why this movie didn't work as people had hoped it would is that I think there's just too much importance on the item, but also the other thing with the item is what we're about to see here is another key flaw is kind of on the rewatch kind of dawned on me. It's not only that the item's a little too important, it's too focused, and we know too much about it. It's sentient. You never want to make the item itself sentient, I think.
Yeah.
Because it ceases to become kind of a thing it tends to become kind of like this coveted item of like in the stuff it represents stuff you personally read into the item. It becomes like an actual living being. It feels really off. It's hard to describe. It just feels when you make it not only super more important than just like the MacGuffin of the piece, and you just make it an actual thing that is created, and then you know absolutely everything you thought you knew, but you absolutely know nothing about it. So it's really kind of weird.
Yeah, no, you're right, Dragon. That's definitely a big problem about it. It's just kind of the way that they write the MacGuffin itself. It's kind of ironic that in the previous 3 films, the MacGuffin is just that. It's just a MacGuffin, you know? It's nothing more than that. It's basically just a writing tool. And essentially, in trying to make it more than just a writing tool, they kind of falter with it a little bit. They got too ambitious with it in a way.
Yeah. I got a bad feeling about this Star Wars reference.
I do too. I'm not too keen on it.
No, I'm saying the line he just said I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's a little too on the nose with the Star Wars thing.
I think it works.
They didn't know they were going to do more Star Wars films, so they thought they were going to get in. They might as well get in. So they Harrison Ford in a movie. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here we go. Now we're going too far with the
What's causing this big earthquake here?
This is all they're basically about to merge into one alien being. So and because they're not just regular aliens, because George Lucas's stupid rationale, the idea is they're all separate I don't know if this is Indy's line or not, but the point is they're all separate consciousnesses of the same alien. So they're going to spin around a room until they turn to one. Hence the alignment. So they're going to spin. That's why the room's spinning around right now, so they can kind of they're interdimensionally they're going to become one being, because right now it's all separate. That's why they're waiting for the last skull to be reunited so they can actually leave Earth. I know it's weird. So interdimensional beings, right? There's dumb rationale. Can't just be regular aliens either. And you know, I gotta tell you this, if they were just kind of straight aliens and just hiding the whole Roswell thing, whether you want to make that crystal skull or not, assuming they kept it simpler, I think people would have been able to buy into it more if you tied in kind of the aliens to the flying saucer thing with the original title, Indiana Jones and the Saucer Men, just tie it down kind of.
I actually think, ironically enough, Saucer Men from Mars in the long run might have been the better title to go with.
That's the thing, because I mean, if they just stuck to kind of the saucer, we see a saucer at the end of this, but I think if this is going to tie into maybe the.
If they're going to do aliens, go all the way with it. You know what I mean?
The Russians just get sucked into the other dimension.
Yeah. But, you know, if they just kind of tied in the whole, like, you know, saucer is kind of like an iconic thing that we always kind of speculate about as, like, you know, the flying Indiana Jones being present during the saucer.
Mac is still stealing stuff, so I know he's gonna die.
Oh, he dies in the dumbest way, however.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I mean, he's stealing treasure when his life is in peril.
Jonesy, I'm gonna be alright.
Oh, God, right? Okay, well, first, let's see her abysmal ending. She knows too much.
It kind of cuts back and forth between the two abysmal endings.
Hers is just not as good as we've seen before. His is just terrible.
Hers is basically just kind of ripping off the end of Raiders to me.
It's not as cool, though, because, again, not as practical.
I mean, I shouldn't say ripping off, because it's doing its own thing with it, and I do like the idea that she's becoming overflooded with knowledge. Like, it fits with her character. It's a very good thematic end to her character, but visually, I feel like it's just a little too similar to Raiders. Okay, here we go.
So yeah, so again, it's just...
I'm gonna be alright, Jonesy.
I'm gonna be alright, Jonesy. What the heck was he thinking? Like, no, you're not gonna... there's nothing about the situation that says you're gonna be remotely alright. You're gonna be dead. You're gonna be scattered.
You know what,
dust
Dragon? I mean, come on.
Space.
I mean, I will defend it. It's just Matt kind of, like, accepting his situation.
So her
you know
eyes
what I
are
mean?
on fire, and then she goes to another dimension.
So when they end up in the other dimension, do they like get sacrificed or something? I'm sure it's not very pretty.
Well, I'm sure she's having tea with the Red Skull.
Well, just you watch, Sandy.
It's kind of funny. She much like God, who was the much like we had with Donovan. Donovan was kind of like a Red Skull type character again, all using the Nazis pretty much. We had her kind of using Stalin's interest, that she was kind of like the
Sure.
So you kind of to usurp some power there. It was a very weak villain death. We just sat through.
I wouldn't say it's weak.
Well, no, I mean on Mac particularly. I'm sorry.
Oh, on Mac, yeah, it's I don't know.
I mean, look, he was getting greedy. That doesn't necessarily mean just got. If he's gonna die, I mean, I get it by his own hand there, but still, if he's gonna die, does it have to be like, I'm gonna be all right, Jonesy? That's the dumbest.
Well, I don't know. I don't. To be fair, like I said, I will defend the I'm gonna be all right. It's just. It's like he knows he's not going to be all right. He's just kind of accepting his fate.
He could have made it, though.
I mean, I feel like that could have worked if we liked him more, but we don't really like him.
Exactly.
So let me say this.
So it's not the line itself I have a problem with. It's everything kind of surrounding the line, really.
So let me tell you this. And again, Tiki, I think this visually could have been good, but only if we invested in it do we buy this thing. But just going through as we do, is we see this moment where Indiana Jones, kind of similar to the nuclear cloud, which was a lot more effective. This is kind of what they're. See, Indiana Jones are down there. You see looking upon a saucer, which is really an out there image. You never thought in a million years you'd see with Indiana Jones. But again, if the film was like maybe a little more focused to building us to accepting this moment, then.
Yeah, and I think what could have been done is kind of like what we've been talking about throughout this whole thing is just the steps they could have taken to simplify the story.
Yeah, they overcomplicated it. It just feels like, again, like we don't earn that saucer moment. It seems like we should be loving this, but
no,
again,
you're right. You're right.
It's too out there. It's too bizarre without kind of having this kind of. I'm sorry.
And like I said, that's where I feel like it was a missed opportunity to not go all the way with the alien thing.
Here we have the space between spaces, which only Brad Jones can deliver as well. He's gone to the space between spaces.
I do like how kinetic the scene is with the waterfalls and everything, though.
Yeah, that is nice. That's nice.
Now, there was a line. Indy had a great moment. Again, this is showing some missed opportunities there, where Indy had a moment where he realized, again, this is not supported. It's completely frivolous, but it's an excellent moment for Indiana Jones out of context. Here's where he says, he discovers, again, the gold is like old archaeological treasures, and he says, they were archaeologists. And he has like this wonderful smile on his face. I know it's past, but it kind of connects to the idea, the gold treasure moment. It sounds, it just sounds nice, gold translated, treasured for them, and there was actually the treasure of knowledge. And it could have been really interesting if they just kind of either simplified the story, they paired it with pure like an El Dorado type thing, like you think you're going after one thing with a treasure or something else. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep repeating myself. Just kind of they kind of mentioned the gold treasure translation line there. Just kind of wanted to make me think of that. Well, it's past, but it's in the past. And I do love, this is a sweet moment, though, with the whole Junior callback. And he says, some of your grandpa's laughing. Really sweet ending with that.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, when Harrison Ford smiles like that...
Do you guys think that Shia should have said, "Don't call me Junior"?
Would have been cool.
I was almost kind of hoping that would have come up.
I don't know. I kind of like that they kind of went the non-obvious route. That was like Harrison Ford looking up with Marion on his arm, with Indy looking up and Marion on his arm, and just kind of that great smile kind of takes you back to Raiders for a moment.
Yeah, fair enough. It's nice.
Anyway, however, I do have an issue with this. It's great. It's a heartwarming thing. We're ending on the wedding again. We mentioned the wedding. It just kind of feels a little tacked on.
Yeah, like we said, it's like I think the
her hair
only
looks
real...
red I just realized her hair looks kind of red in this scene.
Yeah, you're right. It does look a little red.
The only real hint we got of the wedding was kind of the whole, Indy ran out on the wedding, a week before.
The only thing, don't know, we want these two kids to get together, but, it's...
Also, I do think there is kind of a certain magic that's lost with Indy actually finally getting married.
Yeah, that is...
It's almost kind of like a James Bond type thing in a way.
I don't know, again, I think it was just kind of acknowledging, the perfect girl for Indy's probably Marion anyway. So
yeah.
Why tease it with any other girls in the future?
Right, fair enough.
Plus, he's an older guy, how many, he's going to be meeting older women that might be interested in him. I don't know. My point is...
there weren't probably plans for a fifth movie at that point.
Yeah, with Mutt Williams as the lead. There were other directions in talks, but...
there's nothing concrete like that. There's nothing concrete like there is now.
Yeah. Anyway, the hat bit's a little cheesy, but I liked it though.
I appreciate the hat bit. You know why I appreciate the hat bit? Is because goddamn everyone, predicted that the movie was going to end with Shia putting on the hat. And this is the subversion of that expectation, and that's why I appreciate it.
And I think it's important that shows Indy's not ready to kind of give up the hat yet. Which
Absolutely.
Again, let's just say that's a direction I might explore.
Because as soon as we saw it at his feet, the theater went dead silent. They're like, no, they're not. No, don't put on that hat, Shia. Don't you dare put on that hat. Nope.
He's just combing his hair.
Yeah, let's just say that's a direction I might explore.
Well timed, man. Well timed. I give that props. And then I like how Shia's just kind of standing there humbled, and he's like, yeah, I deserve that.
Yep.
I shouldn't have touched the hat. And I don't know. Rewatching the movie, I gotta say, there's something kind of charming about Mutt just kind of lingering and combing his hair while the rest of the crowd walks off. It's a nice little cap to his character, I must say. There's something really nice about that. The leather jacket thrown over his shoulder. Just really good visual way to end off the character and end off the movie. I really thought that was satisfying.
Well, a few things. Originally, there was going to be a lot more cameos. It's like closing the book on the Indiana Jones. The original 3 films, there was going to be Sala was going to have cameo, as well as Willie Scott and Short Round. All 3 were supposed to cameo.
I would like to see Short Round and Sala, not Willie, though.
Well, I mean,
I worked Willie into mine. She's not, I'm not going to have Kate Capshaw back, but I will say that Willie does factor into the plot in some way.
Willie would be an easy one to get because, she's close with the director.
Yeah, she's married to Steven Spielberg.
But nobody wants to actually see her, though.
My point is, the reason I assume it fell through because John Rhys Davies, his part was too unsubstantial.
I've got a really emotional thing with Sala that I think you guys are gonna like.
Well, anyway,
I'm sorry, Brian. Keep going.
Yes. One more thing. Again, the whole the university thing. It's a nice touch, but it doesn't is because of that whole FBI plot line. Just makes no look of sense. Why is anything different? Why has anything changed? Why is Indiana Jones now? He was about to get fired, and the other guy lost his job technically. So why is? Well, I mean, he resigned in offer for maybe unresigned. I don't know. Points. How is Indy still not in any trouble? There's no proof that they stopped any Russians, because now the Russians are all gone.
Fair point. Fair point.
Again, I'm sorry, it's something that dawned on me on the rewatch. I wanted to point out. Again, this Indy not hanging up the hat is something I'm exploring in my pitch. If it's Indy not ready to hang up the hat quite yet.
Okay. All right, guys. So we're on the credits. So you want to go round table? Do your final thoughts?
Sure.
All right. Who wants to start?
Okay, should I go first since I went last time?
Sure.
Yeah, I guess. True.
Well, like I said, I can definitely see where you guys are coming from. I mean, just some of the aspects, like I said, a lot of them are just making a lot of people just needlessly over complain about things. Like this place oversaturated. They oversaturated a lot of their complaints. So they complained to just to be complaining about it. They needed something to complain about, and they just found the littlest things to do that. But I can see some of the complaints. Like I said, I will agree that the swinging is a little bit silly. I will concede to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not as bad as people make it out to be, but it is a bit far-fetched even for this kind of series. It just seems kind of random, you know. It just seems like, do we really need to see him swing?
So, like I said, even for this, even for this series, which has a lot of crazier stunts, I will admit it is a bit out of place.
Yeah.
And I think it still stands up. Like I said, I will still say it's the worst of the indie movies, but I still don't think it makes it terrible. I think it's still a fun movie to watch every now and then. Like I said,
I think Sandy made a good point when you said if this was the only Indiana Jones movie, people would probably like it a lot more.
I can kind of see where I can see that. I kind of agree with that statement. I mean, I personally, like I said, I don't really. I said, will I say this is the best one? No, it's like I said, I will openly say this is probably the worst Indiana Jones movie.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I still think that doesn't make it a bad movie. Nonetheless, I still think it's a good movie. I mean, I personally don't have any qualms against it. Then again, I don't have huge nostalgic ties to it like others do, so that might be another factor in there. But I still enjoy it. I mean, again, I don't know what else I can say that I've already said before. I mean, like I said, I see your points. I mean, I'm sorry if I was kind of being rude during that point.
No, you weren't being rude. It's fine.
Yeah, I guess I thought I might have got a little bit harsh at some points there.
No. Don't worry about it, dude. You're fine.
All right, I just wanted to get that out in the open.
Yeah.
But,
no, you're fine.
Well, like I said, it's just like it's more directed towards other complaints than just basically.
No, I understand. And to tell you the truth, I'm coming at it from that certain perspective as well. I mean, I might not like this movie quite as much as you do, but I do think there is a lot more to admire about this movie than most people give it credit for.
I mean, I'll give it that. Like I said, this is not perfect by any means, or like I said, worst Indiana Jones movie by far. But I still think it's worth a watch. I mean, for indie fans, like if you just go in with not even with high expectations, just go in there, just suspension of disbelief, just have a good time. I think.
Yeah, right.
Without being entirely cynical and overcritical about everything, you'll still find something to like about this movie.
Okay. All right, Dragon.
Well, with the kind of the gripes and kind of the reaction of just kind of the Indiana Jones fan populace, I think the misconception is people kind of go to kind of the bait, essentially, kind of the big kind of really out of place stuff, kind of the stuff that like the obvious three problems people cited with in the. I mainly think of People vs. George Lucas with these three. I remember there was a section where they're kind of like a guy doing like an F-bomb count of like all the stuff wrong with the movie. And particularly, you mentioned three things, and of those, I kind of equate that kind of like the main kind of three things. The bait being the fridge, the swinging, and the aliens, just as in the blanket statements of those why people don't like the film. But I think the problems aren't with those three directly. I think it's just with all the little things that lead to those. I think the major problems of the film are more in the smaller stuff that leads to those sequences. That's where I think the real problems are. And again, some things you can find ways around. Like, again, I think the fridge is that's all hype. That's just the initial. Like, it's just kind of getting you off it makes you raise an eyebrow, and people interpret that as bad. No, it's new. It's different.
Right.
But overall, just how I feel with it. I just wanted to address kind of the overall criticisms. Again, I think there's more structurally wrong with kind of the story of the film, and that's what kind of really comes apparent on the rewatch, critical rewatch. Before, I'm kind of the vein of Jacob here, where, I mean, if it were to come on TV, I'd watch the beginning of it, because, again, it's like, yeah, it's some fun stuff in there. And again, like, certain parts I might tune out for, but, you know, you get to, again, like the Marion, basically, this up to the Marion at the Peruvian camp. That's pretty much where I'd kind of be invested in afterwards. Okay, I gotta check out this. But here's one of my kind of final closing statements. Sorry, Temple of Doom was half-hearted in the script, but it was strong in everything else. I will say that about Temple of Doom. Is that Temple of Doom's script was weak, but everything else was really, the writing was weak on Temple of Doom. Everything else was really strong. The visuals, the acting, all of it was good. Again, with Willie Scott, that's mostly on the script and the characterization. I don't want to hold too much against Kate Capshaw. I don't know how good an actor she is in other things. I don't know. This film, however, feels half-hearted in general. It's filled with potential. Just feels kind of like a half-hearted effort. I'm kind of piggybacking off of the grandpa effect that you mentioned, Tiki, that was brought up by Mr. Blinken. The grandpa effect is kind of with, I get a sense of a reason it might be half-hearted is, I'm not saying, you know, old filmmakers can't do anything good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they've evolved as creators, and they've kind of set in new ways. Spielberg, like right now, is a little more interested in kind of the, I remember him saying once that he's interested in historical dramas and stuff. And you kind of see his repertoire right now. That's where he's kind of hitting a stride, where it's just he's doing kind of things that are adapting actual events that have happened, or like life stories of Lincoln, or Bridge of Spies and stuff like that.
But he also did BFG,
which I'm a really big fan of.
I'm saying, like, at the time of this, I think he was saying that sort of thing, which is kind of true if you look at his career. But you're right, though. I'm saying he's not just saying a majority of it. He likes doing historical dramas and it shows, and he does a good job with those. And I think there's a lot of kind of post-prequel George Lucas, his contributions, in particular kind of the post. Again, George Lucas was a very different filmmaker back in the day with the Indiana Jones films. He was an idea man. I respected the heck out of that. Because he was on the side, and George Lucas is in a comfortable place where he could not have all the pressure on him as a director, which really kind of did a number on him health-wise. Because again, it's a lot of stress to be a director, especially a newcomer back in the 70s, as it was. Mm-hmm. So he's great as kind of the consultant place, and he's kind of that kind of evolved to, it was kind of fed and evolved with the advent of technology, which again, in some weird way, he's responsible for a lot of the technological advancements of filmmaking. Basically, I get a sense of post-prequel George Lucas contributions to this, and I kind of equate that to a lot of this mentality of why not do things easier now that we have the technology to do so, and that's kind of cramping Spielberg's directing style. So it's kind of like the whole, well, we can do things a lot easier, a lot different now than we would have beforehand, and why not? If we want to have fun here, which I guess since the actors probably had a blast doing this film, and they just didn't quite know how it was going to measure up in the final cut.
Right.
And because of that, I think we just kind of get a somewhat of a disappointing film to longtime fans. But I think it's not entirely it's not an awful film by any stretch. It's not a bad movie. It's just I remember the initial ranking was like it's in like a 70%. So I'd say it's worthy of a C rating, and that it's just filled with a lot of interesting opportunities. Bringing Indiana Jones kind of back and exploring an old Indiana Jones. You got to remember some of the best stories in. Period. I mean, like Dark Knight Returns, kind of an old person, kind of your hero's aging, and you invest more in kind of their struggles in someone you have a history with, and you get to see how they measure up after all these years, and see like are they as iconic as they were. And I think that's a very interesting angle you can explore, especially with someone like Indiana Jones.
Who knows? Maybe you'll see that. Maybe you'll see that kind of thing in Indy 5.
Absolutely, you kind of have like a cinematic Batman of sorts with Indiana Jones. Again, like another, more of a Bond, I know, but like your James Bonds, your Indiana Jones are very much kind of like a hero to everyone vibe. So in the end, you get kind of a disappointing film because you know it could have been more. And that's what I feel with this one. It could have been more. Had good people behind it, and you know what? It doesn't completely kill the franchise. It gives you really wanted to get it right with the next one. You wanted to do this, all the potential you saw in this one, but do it better in the next go around.
Okay, Sandy.
They took all the words out of my mouth.
Right. I kind of feel the same way.
Dragon's little rant there for like a minute or two. You guys took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I think one of the best elements in this movie is Marion. How they brought her back, just to, for Indiana Jones. This is who you're supposed to be with, and how he marries her at the end, and they get married. I think that was really nice. Shia LaBeouf is he deserves more credit than what he does get credit for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't hate him as an actor, not in the slightest. I don't really know his work too well. I just know that he gets a lot of smack for his stuff, and especially with a film like this, where it's a big franchise.
Really good holes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I've seen that movie. That was a long time ago, though. I digress. So, especially with a big franchise like this, him just coming in, when he's at the top of his game with the Transformers series and everything, and coming into this franchise where you have these classic characters, and he's not really a well-liked actor, I guess, with amongst fans. I don't mind. I don't mind him. I think I do like the fact that he's a greaser. Because greasers are pretty cool. As far as story goes, it is very half-hearted. It's definitely, it's very, very weak. And like you guys said, it shows potential, but it doesn't take that potential, and it doesn't take full advantage of it. The characters, I guess, the Russian lady, I don't know, I forget what her name is.
Spalko.
Yeah.
Spalko.
I think she was probably. I think she is definitely the weakest villain of the franchise.
Oh yeah.
As well as the Russian general.
I actually like the Russian general guy a little bit better than her.
He was a lot better than her. But
he died a better death.
Yeah, his death was a lot better.
He died the Ant-Man way.
Yeah.
Like, we like you better because you died better.
Oh, God.
So yeah, all in all, I give this film 5 out of 5. It's not one. It's like I said before. If it was by itself and none of the other films existed, then people would probably really like this film.
Wait. You give it a 5 out of 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's. Oh wait, no. 5 out of 10.
That's what I'm saying. You said 5 out of 5.
I'm a little delirious here.
Perfect score there. See.
I'm a little delirious here. I've been awake since 7 o'clock this morning and I'm tired.
Oh God. Okay.
It's not like one of those films like Raiders where you can go back and watch it again and again and again.
No.
I haven't seen this film in like I haven't seen this film in like 3.5 years. So I think that just give it some time. You see it one time and then give it a few years and then you come back to it.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah, just that wraps it up for me. 5 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar position to Sandy, where Draken kind of took everything I wanted to say, and so I'm gonna go ahead and play a sound clip that.
Oh, come on! Don't. Is it gonna be from a certain show you like?
No, it's not gonna be from South Park. It's something to do.
Well, that's good.
Can you guys mute your mics for a sec?
Yeah.
Hold on for a second. I'm muted. I'm not muted yet.
Okay. Alright, guys. Give me 1 sec. I apologize. Let me turn up my volume.
Even though I'm here surfing Wikipedia mindlessly while Steven's actually making a film, I still have a lot to say. We've developed the vernacular over the years, and what I do is give him notes through song. Check this out. Hello. Hey there, Steven. It's me, George. Saw the dailies, thought they really sucked, but it's okay. I have notes. Please add George or a race car, a Death Star, a galaxy far, far away. Don't be gay at that bay. Now we have a better movie.
What the hell was that? Did he just give me notes to the indie melody? I f***ing had it. Shia, you direct the next scene. I gotta take care of something. Oh man, I can't substitute direct for Steven Spielberg.
Then truly directing me. And everyone gives me crap for innovating CG and overusing it, but the Peter Jacksons of the world, who are worse, get off scot-free.
Okay, come on. I still actually shoot real things. Of course, I still like my CG monsters and lizards and dinosaurs and icky things, but at least my movies don't look like PlayStation 2 games.
All right, you guys get the point. You guys get the point.
Gosh.
All right, I'm sorry. I just think that kind of summed it up quite nicely. All right.
It did.
Yes, we're anti-CG, despite the fact some of the best films we love are computer generated.
Well, to be fair, I probably couldn't cut it out before the CG.
What was that clip from, Tiki?
I can send you guys the link to it afterwards.
Okay.
But,
Well, give it a shout out. Was it any good?
yeah, it's from a YouTube channel called Red Cow Entertainment. They also did the famous "What If Lord of the Rings" was directed by George Lucas animated short.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Okay, so anyways, folks, it's time to seal up the crate once again, return home, and hang up our hats until the next adventure on Indiana August, where we'll be breaking down our hypothetical pitches for Indiana Jones 5.
But Tiki, who's gonna do all this locking up stuff?
Top men, Jacob. Top men.